Welcome to the exciting world of the movies.
The time is now 12:35 a.m. exactly Eastern Standard Time. So it is now officially Wednesday, May 25th, 2022, which means we have now hit the 45th anniversary of the release of the first Star Wars film, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope.
Yeah, time to party.
So we are going to celebrate real quick. This was almost like an impromptu episode, I guess you could say. And the reason being is the evil people at Disney who have just done nothing but crap on the legacy of Star Wars. They were originally going to release Obi-Wan, their new show, which probably has very little Obi-Wan Kenobi in it. They were going to release it today, but then they found out Stranger Things was coming out on Netflix on Friday, so then they bumped it to Friday to try to mess up, and also to try to mess up the binge watching of Stranger Things on Netflix. They added in to buy your love even more, to totally cover up that they were ignoring the 45th anniversary. It wasn't like it was the 37th anniversary. It was the 45th anniversary of Star Wars. Just like they ignored the 40th anniversary a few years ago. They bought your love. They're giving you 2 episodes on Friday. You can watch it then if you want. Your fandom has been weaponized against Netflix. I don't even care about Netflix. I hate Netflix. But I just don't like the anniversary of Star Wars being crapped on the way it has been. So after taking my licking, after having the nerve to complain about it on Facebook and everybody telling me just shut up, you're going to watch it anyway, you're going to do this, they're going to get your love back when they give you Baby Yoda, all this crap, I said, you know what? And people saying, well, the anniversary doesn't matter. It just, what's the big deal of watching a show about Obi-Wan Kenobi on the anniversary of the movie that the character originated in? What's the big deal? Just do what Disney wants. Just go against Netflix. Ugh. After all that bullshit, I said, you know what? Let's drop all that, whatever, that is what it is. Move that to the side. And anniversaries are for fans. They're not for corporations. They're not for streaming service. Oh, streaming services. They're not for that. They're for fans. So we are fans, and we are going to watch chronologically the first Star Wars movie. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now, unfortunately, we do have to watch this on streaming, even though we owe 30 copies of it on Blu-ray.
But it's for the reason. We just recently moved. All of our stuff
movies are
packed up.
90% of our collection is
everybody's
packed
right.
away.
What's the point of having discs when you could just stream it?
Yeah, and we'll talk about this Phantom Menace version that's streaming here. But but anyway, we have it at the we have it at the 1 second mark here. 20th Century Fox logo.
Streaming fresh off of Disney Plus.
But you can sync it to the 20th Century Fox logo on your disc, which I'm hoping that's what you guys are, if you are following along. Or if you're just sitting around somewhere listening to a podcast and you want to hear about Star Wars.
I kind of want to talk about the streaming thing before we start this, because I want to actually talk about the movie when it starts.
Okay, tell them how bad the stream sucks.
Okay, so for me, I am a admitted snob of discs. I will never watch a DVD anymore. I am all about Blu-ray. I won't even watch a 4K yet because they haven't figured their shit out on that yet. On whether they...
Depending on what movie you get, you could get some jank 4K.
That's a gamble that I have to ask you if I'm going to consider, getting those.
It's a movie-by-movie basis.
Either way, it's a gamble, and I'm just not into that yet. So I am all about watching everything on disc. I despise watching movies streaming. It's the last thing I would ever do it's the only thing I would do if there's no other options, like in this situation.
Yeah.
And really it's because I can tell the lower quality of streaming. Like, I feel like I'm not getting a real version of the movie in some way. And so I've never really, tested that. I've just always kind of held that standard for myself where I'm just like, nope, I'm not going to stream a movie. If we get the disc from Netflix. Any way we can watch it on the disc, I'll watch it. Mm-hmm. And, there's a lot of movies, too, that we have that I'll ask, like, if I'm considering getting it and you're like, oh, I have it on DVD. I'm like, no, we don't have it.
Yeah.
So, like, in my mind, we don't have it if you only have it
No,
on DVD.
if you ask me if I own it, I'll tell you.
No, yeah. But to me, in my mind, like, my response to you when you say, oh, well, I have it on DVD, I'll be like, okay, we don't have it. So, like, I just, this is the first time that I've actually, like, kind of, quote-unquote, tested my feelings about watching a streaming version over a disc, and my experiment validated my feelings, because this is the worst version of this movie I have ever watched.
It's terrible. It's horrible.
Life.
And yeah, I mean, I won't get into it a little, but to me, I know for a fact it's not even just about streaming with this. It's just a terrible master that Disney was too cheap to remaster it for 4K. But we'll get into that.
And it's funny because I always preferred the visuals of episodes 1 through 3 over 4 through 6, because 4 through 6 obviously was made, you know,
in camera for the most part.
It was made a long time, like, not a long time ago, but it was made obviously way before 1 through 3 was, so it looks different, obviously. And
it was made a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Took advantage of the modern technology of the time for 1 through 3.
He didn't just take advantage of it, he waited for it to be possible, and then he invented most of it.
Yeah, so, like, it looks newer compared to the other episodes, so I've always, that it's just my opinion. I'm not saying it's better. I'm not saying anyone is worse. It's just my preference that I like the visuals of episodes 1 through 3. So, to me, it's always looked crisp when we watch it off disc. Like,
yeah, I mean,
it's always a clean and pretty, and like I just have always loved it. On here, when we watched it this time, it was the first time that I've ever felt like I was watching a DVD version.
What is this shit?
It was so weird. Yeah. It was the weirdest experience.
No, I agree. And it looked nasty. It looked terrible. Honestly, I hate to say this because whenever you watch it on like regular cable, it's always cropped, which I hate. Which I
even watched that.
But that quality coming through a halfway decent cable provider looks better than this garbage.
Because, I always, whenever TNT is doing, or whatever channel is doing the marathons, you always walk into the room, because I always have it on TV, right? Like, I'll even sit there and watch those versions of it, than ever choose to watch this version of it again.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible.
And, like, it's just it was the strangest thing, because it's not like we went into, it's not like you started it and I was like, okay, let me see how, rubbing my hands together, let me see how I like this version of streaming this movie. It's like I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just watching it because I was like, yay, we're gonna watch Star Wars. Like, I was just excited, like I always am to watch Star Wars. But as I'm sitting here watching it, it was like, it looked terrible.
Well, you know what sucks too is there's probably a chunk of people. I'm not going to say it's a large chunk, but there's a lot of people that just like got out of disc, who own disc, and they're just like, I'm just done with this streaming. Yeah. So there's probably people who gave away their Blu-ray copies and they're like, oh, Disney Plus has it in 4K. Yeah. This is the fakest, most terrible 4K you will ever see.
Really, what makes me feel like it looks terrible is, like, obviously, especially, I don't know if he changed them later on the way he did the older episodes. But, like, obviously he uses a lot of digital, technology, and there's, animals and scenes and stuff that required CGI, in the movie.
Yeah.
But to me, it's always looked natural. Like, it's never looked like computerized.
First of all, I gotta say a thing about these 4Ks. The reason I've never bought the 4K disc, and you can go and read the reviews, and they'll give them good reviews because they're 4K and they're in HDR, but they'll tell you in the reviews, if you got a halfway decent review, they'll tell you in the reviews, they took the grain out. They has that frozen grain, which means they did a process to try to minimize the grain. Because people who buy 4K don't like film grain, and then it's not too clownish, but they jacked up the colors with the HDR enough to where like everything looks almost green screenish in this version.
Yeah,
it's
like
terrible.
That's what I felt. Like I felt like you could see the pieces of the computerized parts. Like that's
but it's not even that though. It's so bad that like when there's like people just standing behind them in like a dialogue scene, it looks like the people behind them are fake and that they're in a freaking green screen. Like, it looks nasty.
Well, like, there was, and I don't really want to point out any of that crap while we're watching it, but, like, there was one scene.
Well, I gotta talk about Qui-Gon's face, because it's just the number,
you can say whatever you want.
The surest sign of digital noise reduction is that they've done something to take away the film grain, is when the actors' faces look like they're made out of wax, like they're wax figures. And Qui-Gon is, like, the worst in this. He looks so waxy. And I know they did some, like, janked up stuff like that.
I did notice where it looked like you could see his fake hairline, his wig.
Well, you've always been able to see
his... more obvious.
Yeah, you've always been able to see his wig, but I'm talking about just his face. It looks, like, oily and waxy, and there's a couple close-ups of Ewan McGregor that look that way, too. And they will blame this, because they even said, oh, we use the same master. They try to throw George Lucas under the bus because they're like, oh, for the 4Ks, we use the same masters that George Lucas created in 2010, which it's like they're admitting they're using decade-old masters. Okay. But they're like, yeah. I was like, okay, well, first of all, one thing that is a fact was HDR was not created when George Lucas made those masters, which means whatever implementation of HDR there is on this version, actually all of his movies, that means you put it on there. So don't even take that away. As far as the fake film grain, I don't know if George Lucas removed that or not. But while, like, the Blu-rays don't look perfect, and I wish I had them there so we could watch them instead or compare them. But even though the Blu-rays don't look perfect, like, in all honesty, it's so much better looking. It's so much more film-like looking than this Disney garbage that they spit out on 4K.
Well, and I think that's what I'm referring to. Like, there's this one scene. I think it's like when they're somewhere around the water before they jump in to go to Jar Jar's, place.
Yeah.
It's like you can see the lake or whatever it is in the background, and the lake looks separate from the land.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like it's like a puddle sitting on top of the... I don't know. It just... You can see, like, where the different elements, like, this is the lake, and then this is the land. Like, it's, like, the way it's, like, separate. I'm moving my hands, like, you can see in this.
I mean, honestly, with that, be yeah, well, I can't really defend it one way or another, because a lot of the CGI elements obviously look faker, which can happen.
But I never noticed stuff like that, is what I'm saying.
But, I mean, that can happen when you bump it up to 4K naturally. But at the same time, it's just bottom line, like, this ancient-ass CGI looked better on Blu-ray. Blu-ray hid the flaws better.
I guess it's just in
the
general,
film parts look better on Blu-ray, and the CGI look better on Blu-ray, and that's all I'll say.
In general, overall, not every movie needs to be cleansed like that. So
well,
that's it, really.
I mean, my number one thing, and I've avoided so many movies, especially on 4K or whatever. Same thing with, like, Blade came out in 4K. Everybody's like, oh, Blade's on 4K. Oh, everybody who's bought it on DVD and bought it on Blu-ray and now they're excited. But I read the review of every 4K before I buy it. Yeah. And if I see any hint of, there has been some light film grain removal. Nope. Yeah. If a movie was shot on film, you shouldn't tinker with it to make it look shot digital. That's just the bottom line. And by the way, like I was saying before, like, granted, we don't really know why this looks so bad, if it was George Lucas's fault or Disney's fault. But one thing I will say is, go read the 4K reviews for the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie on 4K disc. It looks waxy, terrible. They took the grain out. People actually say, when you do shot-for-shot comparisons with the Blu-ray of Pirates, that the Blu-ray, you actually see more on the Blu-ray because it's not scrubbed and waxy looking. No. So, and we know Disney's been making terrible videos, like home video soundtracks forever. Like, going all the way back to Avengers 2, I think. Yeah. So, I mean, we know Disney puts out garbage home videos. So, I mean, so that's our rant. Because unfortunately, we had to watch this terrible... Like, to me, this is George Lucas's film, but we're watching the Disney version of it.
And one thing, too, just lastly, like, you know me, every time we watch these movies, I cry like a freaking baby because I get so emotionally into it. Yeah. This one... there were so many scenes of the ones that I usually get really emotional on, and I was just so, like, flat. Like, I wasn't feeling anything. The pod race is usually, like, super exciting, and I'm usually like, he's so cute with his little helmet and his thing. And, like, then when we watched it, the first time on the stream, I just didn't feel anything. I was actually even, like, so tired and, like, I don't know. It was weird. It took the emotion out of it for me, and it was just so strange. It was the weirdest experience watching this.
Well, the last thing I'll say, and this goes to be said with streaming versus disc, was this brand new Atmos soundtrack on Disney Plus. To me, To me, the sound was way weaker than what's on the Blu-ray.
That
honestly,
might be it too, because usually when we
especially during the pod race, like that sound was like
discs. Yeah, like we have like the awesome sound that we have. So that does affect.
And I kept trying to turn it up, but it just when the sound is like flat, you can turn it up, but it's still flat. Yeah. Like so. Anyway, we got a 2-second mark. 20th Century Fox.
20th Century Fox.
Old school. I'm gonna play this before this stupid thing tries to go to sleep on me again. So I want to say 1, 2, 3, go, and when I hear the word go, please hit play on your remotes, and hopefully you're watching this on a disc and not a terrible streaming service. So everybody, 1, 2, 3, go. Save yourself the money. Get those old Blu-rays. They're better looking.
Are we allowed to do that? Are we gonna get sued now?
What, to tell people to buy the Blu-ray version instead?
No, to sing the song.
Oh, well, that probably, yeah. Yeah, I'm shocked they didn't slice the 20th Century Fox. Well, actually, I guess it doesn't matter since they bought Fox now. So I remember, like, this is in a lot of ways the Star Wars movie I have the fondest memories of, because while I was literally like a newborn. I was born.
I love the stars. Oh, that's my favorite.
Yeah. And it never, this whole like thing, and I thought this too when this came out, it never quite looks exactly the way the original ones did, because obviously there's different technology to make credits now, but especially with the newer ones, like I'm even nostalgic for these credits, so I guess I'll just read the crawl, since this is like got slammed for being one of the most boring crawls of all time. So it's episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Republic. The taxation of trade routes to outlying star systems is in dispute.
It's too complicated.
Hoping to resolve the matter with a blockade of deadly battleships, the greedy Trade Federation has stopped all shipping to the small planet Naboo.
No, I don't understand.
While the Congress of the Republic endlessly debates this alarming chain of events, the Supreme Chancellor has secretly dispatched 2 Jedi Knights, the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy, settle conflict. So yeah, this was like the number one thing when people shit on the prequels. They go, "Oh, it's all about taxation." That one sentence, that's like the only time you ever hear anybody talk about fucking taxation in this whole thing. But it is what it is.
So anyways, you were talking about your memory.
No, I just have because this was like, I know for a fact I saw Return of the Jedi. And
this looks so cool. Anyone looks cool in here.
Yeah, I saw Return of the Jedi when it came out. Like, I remember because I was like about 6 years old by the time Return of the Jedi came out. But I mean, I don't really have, like, I don't know if I went to like some re-releases of A New Hope or, Empire Strikes Back or whatever. But I know for sure I saw Return of the Jedi first run in the theater. So it's like, the most exciting time period for me as a Star Wars fan was when they brought out the special editions, because like Star Wars was back and I got to go see them all on the big screen again. Mm-hmm. Like when they did the special editions, I saw A New Hope 3 times in the theater, and then I saw Empire and Jedi twice each. But it was like, and then you only had like, what's cool about the special editions, I believe they came out in 97 for the 20th anniversary at that time. And you only had to wait like 2 more years for Phantom Menace to come out. So it was like, you were waiting for a little bit for the special edition, so it wasn't like I know they always say like, oh, Phantom Menace was a 19-year wait and stuff, which is like technically true from Return of the Jedi, but it's like, I like that he got you ready for Star Wars again with the special edition re-releases. Yeah. And it was cool how they came out in theaters like 3 months apart from each other. But I remember like this scene just being like, like, it's kind of funny now because it's like, at the time, this was quote-unquote new Star Wars, as old as this is now. Yeah. And I just remember thinking this was like such a classic, like, opening to a Star Wars movie. Like, I thought it was so cool because it's like, you never actually saw Jedi Knights before in Star Wars. Like, they actually are full-on Jedi Knights.
That's true.
Like, you seen Obi-Wan Kenobi in his robe or whatever, like, as an old man. Yeah. But it wasn't like he's like, hey, Luke, I'm wearing my Jedi robe. And like you just thought at the time that's what Obi-Wan Kenobi wore,
because not even Luke is like in this one, it'll happen later, but like when Anakin sees him, he recognizes him. You're a Jedi Knight, aren't you? Yeah. Luke doesn't see Ben, quote unquote Ben, that. He doesn't like. He sees him on the thing. He doesn't say, "You're a Jedi Knight, aren't you?"
Well, yeah, because Luke didn't grow up in the era of the Jedi Knights.
That's what I'm saying, though. It's like the Jedi weren't a thing necessarily in that.
They were like the samurai of their day. Yeah. But yeah, it's just like,
no, but I'm just saying, even then, the concept of a Jedi Knight, like, it just wasn't a thing in those, and I didn't even realize that until you said that right now. Yeah. So like how you're pointing out, like this is the first time we're really seeing them exist. It's pretty cool.
And I remember George Lucas at the time too, like, you know, hyping up, like, you know, like, oh, like wait till you see the Jedi, like, you know, we've never seen the Jedi at the height of their powers before, and it's true because like they do so much more shit than like Luke ever could. You know, even more than Vader could too, because you know Vader's all physically like all screwed up by the time you get to like episode 4 or whatever. Yeah. But so like it's like really cool to see all these powers and stuff that they have in this.
Yeah, this whole beginning part, like it has a lot of like stuff that like I don't know, you don't even think about. Like, I mean, it's really kind of like vampire stuff, like super speed and like it's just so impressive to see because it's like, wow, they can do that, like just because you don't see it any other time, really. They never really do super speed ever again, honestly. No,
they never do. I mean, they do the sped up flips, but they don't do like the run down the hallway that they do here.
And they do the high jumps, like the high, being able to jump up high and all that. But yeah, they don't do any like super speed stuff.
And like another thing I love about this, so this is the first time you see the Jedi just slice up the battle droids. But this whole thing with the Nemoidians, who are like the evil Trade Federation aliens, and then like their army of robots here.
I like how you can see their lightsabers glowing in the smoke.
Yeah, like when I, you know, like during the lead up to this film, when I found out that, because the one thing I was like, I couldn't wait to see stormtroopers, you know, because stormtroopers were like one of the stormtrooper armor is one of my favorite things about Star Wars. And like once like, you know, the hype, like the trailers or whatever for this movie came out, there's no stormtroopers. I was like really disappointed, and I was like, oh, I guess they just came up with this droid army just so they could slice them up and make it real PG or whatever, which kind of is true. But like when I saw this movie and I saw like the droids, not just these like Roger droids that run around, but like in the hangar, how they showed all the actual droid ships walking around by themselves and doing all that shit. Like, I fell in love with the droid army. Like, I love it. It's like one of my favorite things to play in all the video games, like Star Wars Battlefront and all that. I love the droids. So like, yeah, like I love that George Lucas like brought a lot of new stuff in this. Just like the Nemoidians, like we never saw them before in Star Wars. Like, I love that this one, like, did feel like a completely different era of Star Wars timeline.
Well, this, too, like, we never really see what the lightsabers can do.
Right.
And, like, this here, like, how he's, like,
melting the door. How he melts the door, yeah. Cool. Like, I remember
These, I hate these guys.
The droidicas, yeah.
These are, anytime I see them in anything, I just, like, I'm always like, not these guys.
Yeah.
You just can't, like, beat them. They seem so difficult to defeat.
Yeah, but I mean, just everything that's like going on here, like in the background with the droids and stuff. Like, I love these shots of like the droid armies and like all their battleships and stuff in the hangar. Like, that's what Star Wars is missing so much nowadays, and that's what the Disney era like can't deliver. Is because for whatever reason, like they don't want to take the time or they don't have the imagination to really build these. Well, they can't build a Star Wars. Like, they just have all these like magical people running around doing stuff, but like. I love how George Lucas like really scaled up the actual idea of like actual war. Like in order for a war to take place across many planets, like you need huge armies in order to do that. Like I like how this movie made it really believable that could be happening.
Did you see the Jedi made a joke?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Like, again, one-liners, and like I don't think any of the recent movies really were able to capture that, or the TV shows.
It's so funny because like he kind of says it like, "Oh, we're not allowed to make jokes, but I just made one."
Yeah, I could be wrong, but that might have been like a trailer one-liner too about. Well, they were right. The negotiations were short. But, like, yeah, and there was a lot of Star Wars video games around this time, like, multiple ones that, like, recreated this whole opening part, and, like, where you get to slice through all the battle droids and stuff.
She is my favorite.
Yeah, we see Queen Amidala on the video screen there.
She looks so awesome in these movies. I don't know. Even when she's just in her normal, like, battle clothes, or whatever you want to call them, her fatigue, so to speak, like, she does look so cool.
Talk about the planet Naboo here. This is the first time we see it.
It's where I want to live.
Yeah, talk about the planet and what you think of it, what you like about it here.
Probably because it basically looks like Italy, and I love Italy.
Yeah.
It just looks so peaceful and like pretty, and like when they go to the, I'm talking like way in advance, but when they go to the like little villa and they're like standing outside on that patio that they're on, when like obviously years later, like it just looks so pretty. It looks like not heaven, but just a paradise, I guess. Like it just looks so cool. And then I like the way she dresses, like their style that they have there just looks... I mean, hers isn't necessarily Roman, but like the other ones are kind of more Roman, but I don't know, like just the style of this planet is just so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And like, obviously we got to talk about her costume. So we actually, years ago, we got to see that exhibit. We got to see a bunch of these costumes in person. Yeah.
They're like... It doesn't look like it on the screen. She actually looked like larger than life on the screen on these shots. But those costumes are actually really tiny because she's really tiny.
Yeah, I can't remember how old she was at the time. I mean, not that she probably grew much after this, but I think she was still like just a teenager, like maybe like 17, 16 or something in this. But yeah, like this is what I love, where like they just roll down to a planet. Because like basically like they were hovering with their blockade surrounding the planet. And now, like, once the kind of the jig is up, so to speak, with the, the Jedi going on the ship and realizing what they were doing, and then...
But look in the background, there's a bunch of... Aren't those a bunch of droids that are, like, being driven in?
Yeah, being ridden in on the troop transports and stuff. And just, like, these scenes of, like, how they're just destroying the forest and the animals running, like... To me, this, like, builds so much more, like, excitement and, like, dread than, like, any of the... stuff you see in movies now.
He looked funny hanging on to his neck.
Yeah. Here we have Jar Jar. I don't know if this is
true. Dang, that looks like a real animal running away.
Yeah, they do. I think it was a baby hippopotamus that ran by. It was like galloping. But here we have Jar Jar, who at the time they were so crazy that, this was the first... I guess you wouldn't really count, I guess, the dinosaurs of Jurassic Park, but they kind of built him as the first ever... CGI character, and there's a few times where you get to see some feet and some hands which are real, but he's mostly CGI.
But like I was just looking at how he was walking and his thighs, like it looks like a real person.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a completely. Isn't it just that they did that like motion capture thing? Well, obviously not with his face, but.
I mean, they had the guy. If you ever see behind the scenes photos, they had the guy really there as Jar Jar. And pretty much, like, he had like, the whole suit on, except for, like, his head was just, like, the top of it was, like, an inanimate head, and it was the real guy's face. Mm-hmm. And he wore, like, a visor, so the actors wouldn't look in his eyes, they would look up at Jar Jar's eyes. But, like, pretty much from the neck down, like, Jar Jar, like, there was a real Jar Jar there for, like, when they needed it or when they do whatever, for reference, I guess. But, like, yeah, it's pretty much CGI over the top. Other than, like, I'll point out the couple times where you see some hands and feet where you can tell it's, like it looks like latex rubber. You can tell it's him. But it's, like, yeah, like, I think it looks faker on this version because this is the wax face version, which makes the CGI look more waxier, which, obviously, this is low-res CGI compared to probably what they would do now. But it's, like, overall, like, at least when I watch the Blu-ray, like, I still enjoy Jar Jar. He never looks, like, that out of place to me, personally.
Yeah.
And then, like, yeah, the way Jar Jar talks, which was obviously the butt of all the jokes in 1999, but looking back now, like, it was an odd choice, but it's, like, so distinctive and, like, weird that it's actually kind of fun and endearing now.
And honestly, like, if you watch it with captions, like, you can understand what he's saying, and it's really not that bad, like, how he's talking. Like, I think just initially, like, he seems hard to understand, so he just sounds goofy.
Yeah.
But, like, when you watch it with captions, you can see he's actually saying stuff. Like, he's not just, like...
He says full sentences.
Yeah, he's not talking jibber-jabber. He's saying real words.
Yeah, he just... Instead of you or me, he either says Yusa or Misa, and then at the end, he kind of, like, wraps everything up saying okie dokie or whatever.
I have always loved those little, machines they use in their mouth.
Yeah, the little thing. It's cool because, I mean, it makes sense of, like, that they would have it or whatever.
I was thinking, too, when, like, I don't know why I never thought it before, but how they were in that, they got smoked out in that room. Like, I was surprised they didn't have something like that for the smoke room.
Well, when they released the gas, they just held their breath.
Yeah, you could see Qui-Gon like took a deep breath.
Yeah, they both did.
I didn't notice if Obi-Wan did. But yeah, I was like, I was thinking to myself, why didn't they have one of those in that room?
But like, I mean, because you could sit there and do it all day. But I mean, I'm not even just talking about Star Wars, modern Star Wars. I'm talking about modern science fiction in general. Mm-hmm. We keep getting the same shit over and over. And like already in this, movie, we saw a brand new ship we never seen before, brand new aliens, brand new robots. We've seen a brand new planet, Naboo. We've seen now this underwater city that the Gungans live in. Like, there is just a lot. Like, whether you like it or not, like, that's a different story. But it just in terms of like giving credit where credit due in terms of pure imagination, like this movie blows me. Like I think that's why I still like it so much. Honestly, it's like so much more imaginative.
That's George Lucas, though. Like he's really adventurous, and he wants his characters to go on adventures, and that's the hard thing about trying to continue the series without him. It's just that you need his touch if you want all these like new ideas, like nobody is like him.
So well, yeah, I mean, he did say in that interview, I can't remember if it was with Charlie Rose or who, like after Force Awakens he came out, he said, yeah, they had to get rid of me. He's like, because they wanted to make a nostalgic movie. He's like, if I do a new one, like I want to do all new planets, all new ships, whatever. And they weren't. I mean, it's just true. They weren't interested in that, and they haven't done anything really new like that since. But that's why all the Mandalorian takes place on like half of it takes place on Tatooine all the time. But yeah, I just miss it. I just want to see some new stuff. And
but I mean, you could still do like a thing where, and I mean, I think Favreau and Filoni do well with it, and having the characters go around to different places. But you could still have a nostalgic product, but still have them go to different places. It's like I mean. It's just it's just the idea that nobody is like George Lucas. It's like, it's like they're just not going to do things like him. I mean, Favreau and Filoni do, I'd say, probably the best at trying to do George Lucas style stuff. But you're just not gonna get this. You're not gonna get the awesomeness of. Like, look at how much details and all the stuff in the background. Like those little balls, the bubble things, like.
Oh yeah, I love the bubbles.
Look at that thing behind his head. What is that? I don't know, but it's got a lot of detail and texture to it. It's just like I don't know, just he's the only one that can do it.
Yeah, I love that this whole underwater city, like it almost like has like a jellyfish quality to it, like the air bubbles they go into and everything's like translucent. It's just really cool.
Look at how much details in that. Like it's just.
Yeah, I like this little like stingray type boat or whatever, submarine
I like
thing.
the little things coming out of the back.
Yeah. Because I like it, like the little flipper things come off the end, like everything is kind of like you can't tell if it's machinery or if it's like part of it's natural, like organic.
Part of it's fish.
Yeah, like everything looks like it's made out of fish bones and stuff.
Like it kind of looks like seaweed.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Seaweed. Yeah. And here we have, it happens a couple times here, but their boat almost gets swallowed up by a giant fish, but then an even more giant dinosaur fish.
Bigger fish.
Always a bigger fish. But it's funny though, because it happens to them like twice on the same boat ride. Like I noticed that this time, because for some reason in my memory I just thought it happened once, but when we watch it, like it happens again.
This little one, and then the big one. Well, the big one doesn't even try to get them.
No, the big one just wants the medium-sized fish or whatever. Yeah, that boat is like nothing to the big fish. But I like this one because it's almost like a Godzilla or something. Like it looks like it has more like arms and legs.
Yeah.
Giant creature. I remember this shot looking so cool in the theater when you got to see how big it was. I like how he rips the fish in half and just throws the rest of the body away.
It's just like floating.
But like these are all models. Like that big ship's all models, and like especially even with parts 2 and 3 of the prequel trilogy, people say, "Oh, it's just all CGI green stuff," and like it did get a lot of CGI characters and backgrounds, but there's a lot of practical effects throughout the entire prequel trilogy. And like this one especially has probably more than the other ones, but still even episodes 2 and 3. I like that like little class of robots. Like it looks like a school school
ETs.
trip. Yeah, they're like little metal like ET head looking things.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah,
I never saw that.
I do like the Nemoidians, and a lot of people give them shit about those aliens. They think they're lame, but like I like them because like you see in the beginning, like when they talk to Lord Sidious on the hologram and shit, you can tell that the like, especially the one is like he's always regretful, like, oh, we shouldn't have done this, like we overstepped our bounds. But obviously, like they're totally being manipulated by the dark side of Lord Sidious, appealing to their greed or whatever. But I like that too. That like, you know, obviously Lord Sidious is complete evil, but as villains, the Nemoidians, like they're always just kind of like, you know, been played for fools, and like they're not necessarily evil, but they've gone too far.
Sounds cool, like glowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I said this too the last time we watched it, but like, I mean, me personally, I've seen it tons of times. I mean, you've seen it way more than I have, these movies, but it's like, I feel like every time we watch it, I see something new, because there's just so much to see, like, it's so crazy. Oh, and then it happened again, another bigger fish.
You know what's funny, though? I gotta say this, I gotta get this dig in. As primitive as all this CGI is that we're seeing, and it's obvious CGI, I mean, I won't kid that, but it's like, this is still better looking than what's in Marvel movies now.
I don't know, not on this streaming version.
Well, yeah, because this is trash, but I mean, even then, like, this just has more of a, I don't know.
It's like, how can you not want to live? Look at those giant statues or something. Look at this. Oh, my
I know.
God, this is amazing.
The shot of the Queen looking out the window. Yeah. I like how that dress had those little round orange. It kind of reminded me of the Gungan City, how their lights were.
Yeah. Well, they are partnered with them.
Yeah.
These guys.
Yeah, I love everything, the tanks and everything that the army had, the droid army has.
Look at that. Oh my gosh. How could you not want to live there?
Well, I mean, it doesn't exist, but like, yeah.
I wanted to exist.
I always like this shot too, like when they get out of the boat and see the other boat in the background. Like it looks like a lagoon at like a theme park.
It exists in Italy.
Yeah.
We need to live there.
Like that little moat or lake they're in.
Here's the fake.
Yeah, the first appearance of the fake queen. So talk about the whole fake queen, because I don't think a lot of people really like catch on to this. So like Natalie Portman, and again, this was chalked up to just shitty acting and shitty directing by George Lucas's part at the time. But
okay.
But the queen always talks in a flat voice like this, and the reason is like she has like a lot of doubles and stuff. So it's like it's much harder to replicate somebody's like actual voice. So like so the doubles that double for her, you know, keep her out of danger. You know, it's just a lot of kings and queens always have doubles that go around and you know distract and. You know, if there's an assassination attempt, they don't want the real king or queen to get killed. So, like, that's what it's all about. And I think that's actually a cool touch because, like, we know historically that's something that's been done, but you don't really see it, like, portrayed in a lot of movies.
So what are you saying is shitty acting and directing on George's part?
The way she always talks flat as the queen.
I don't think that's, I don't know.
No, I mean, that's what people said.
No.
You know, I'm not saying
you were
that.
saying that.
No, like, I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
I like how she's.
I like it.
I like how she's like the one part. She was like, "I won't discuss this in a committee." Like, there's just so many classic lines.
I know.
But then again, I guess everything's classic when you watch a movie like 30 times and you just like it all. Yeah, and like
I said before we started it that Amidala is my spirit animal. Because I think it's just because she's so serious as that character that I just relate to her because I'm like no nonsense. Keeping it real. Yeah, but it's kind of funny though. I think the CGI is really good on the droids while they're in the city. I don't know what it is about that environment or the lighting. Like when they're out on the green plains because the hills and everything are CGI. I think they come off as a little more cartoony looking there. But yeah, like all these scenes in the hangar and out on the city streets, like I thought the droids looked really good. Like that to me, that's really impressive CGI even for now. But like, see these like close up of these faces, like. Don't like their faces look waxy and blurry to you?
Like, I mean, to me, a Blu-ray looks sharper than this. Like, what
I like how she talks like, "We are brave, Your Highness." I like that.
Yeah.
They're talking as one.
Yeah. She has all her little handmaidens, and one of the handmaidens is actually the real queen in disguise, which is cool. But I guess we should say the handmaiden, or whatever they're called, portraying the queen here is actually a young Keira Knightley, who, like, you wouldn't think you wouldn't think, like, really that Natalie Portman and Keira Knightley look a lot just as people, but once you put the queen makeup on them, like, they are a good double for each other.
I don't know, because I feel like it's so obvious that's funny.
So a lot of people say that the droids are annoying, the Roger battle droids. What's your take on them? Because I fell in love with them, and I bought all the figures. They would like, it was always the same figure, but they would repaint them and put scars and stuff on them. So I own probably 10 of those somewhere in a box. What are your take on them? Like, the design of them, how they act? Like, what do you think about them?
I have nothing negative to say about anything George Lucas Star Wars. So I don't know. Like, I think they're fun. Like, they're funny with, like, on some parts. Like, you know, they're just made to be henchmen. It's like they do their job. Like,
mindless, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, sometimes it doesn't seem like they're mindless. Oh, here it comes, the big debut of my boy.
Now, which one is R2 though? Because he's got a twin brother there.
I didn't catch him.
Yeah, in that shot, there's two that are colored exactly like R2.
But yeah, I mean, I don't. Sometimes I feel like they do give him a little bit too much of brains on some parts because it seems like they can think. So I don't know, but I don't have a problem with them. Like, I'm fine with them. Yeah,
what I always thought was cool too was depending on the paint job that they have. Like, some of them have different jobs. Like, some of them are commanders and some of them are whatever.
It looked like the other one's head was white and blue, and his is silver and blue.
Okay.
Oh dang, he just got blown away.
Yeah, that one got blown away.
There goes his twin.
So I thought that was cool too, that the droids, like, kind of magnetically can stick to the ship and they roll out to repair everything.
Yeah. This is okay. So I was trying to start this on our other podcast, but this is the very first time, well, obviously, starting from episode 1, where R2-D2 saves everybody.
Yeah.
R2-D2 is the hero of the entire saga, and nobody gives him the acknowledgement of being the hero of saving every movie.
Well, if you count the entire saga be episodes 1 through 6, yes.
That's what I'm saying, George Lucas Star Wars.
Yeah, George Lucas saga, yeah. No, yeah, you're right.
He saves in every movie. He saves the day in every movie. He's the real hero of the entire saga.
Yeah, he rerouted the cables there to get them working so they could jump
the first one of
hyperspace, hyperspeed.
He saves the day, and then he gets rewarded with a bath.
Yeah. So what about the bad guys here, the Neimoidians? Like, I keep blowing them, but, like, what do you think about them and, like, their relationship with Palpatine here?
I can't get that stupid thing out of my head ever since you brought it up about people getting offended about their, like, how they sound so Asian or whatever.
Yeah, so this wasn't at least not that I know of, unless yeah, this is the first time we see Darth Maul in the hologram. Mm-hmm. Yeah, now they claim that the Neimoidians were Asian stereotypes, like, but I mean,
I hear it, but I don't think they're acting like to make Asian people look bad. They're just like, that's how they talk.
Well, there's a thing with Watto too, where they claimed he was he had I think a Yiddish accent. But I'm kind of like, when you're making, like, one of these movies, and, like, they made up a fake language for Greedo in A New Hope, but they based it on, I think, like, some I can't remember if it was like Mandarin, or they based it on some Chinese dialects. So it's like, I mean, it's just like there's only so many accents you can come up for aliens and stuff, and, like,
look, he's even making fake Padme. Fake Amidala smile.
I know.
Can't help it. He makes you fall in love with him.
No, this is one thing that I always thought was interesting, and I never really, like, thought about it until, like, we see R2 here and how they have to clean him up because he was out in space. Mm. But, like, you know, the ships always have, like, that black, like, grime on them. Yeah. it's like the carbon scarring or whatever. It's like, I guess they get that from being out in space. Like, I'm assuming that's based on something real, but I don't know. But like, yeah, he basically got all dirty just from being out in space a couple minutes or whatever.
I kind of took it because of the way things were getting blown up. Like, he just got the soot from whatever was getting blown up.
That could be.
Kind of thing. Like, he got what was coming off the explosions.
Mm-hmm. Because I think they are called astromech droids.
Yeah.
But
yeah. She's so amused by Jar Jar.
You never know, the future movies they could bring back R2 10 feet tall with arms and legs like that.
Boo.
Like they've been doing.
Boo. I don't want anybody to change my R2.
I really like the Queen ship here. It's clearly based on it's like an all silver, but it's clearly based on like a SR-71 Blackbird plane, which was a plane I really loved as a kid. I had the G.I. Joe Cobra SR-71 Blackbird.
But that's like one of the things that like all the spacecraft type things in this movie is one of the things that I feel separates it from the second part of the saga. Like, just the way everything looks, and it's one of the things I really like. It's just that sleek, kind of modern look. Like, I think that looks cool. Like,
well, I thought it was interesting, too. Like, George Lucas's philosophy was this was supposed to be a more prosperous time in the galaxy. It was before the war came and, like, started. Because you know how, like, in America, during World War II, everything got shortaged out, and then everything you just had to keep reusing. Yeah. Yeah, the Desert Sun was not kind to Liam Neeson's mesh weave in those shots.
Yeah, like I never noticed that before until watching this version. Like,
yeah, honestly, I always noticed it, like even in the theater.
Look at that giant thing back there.
Yeah. This is like the special. Yeah, that's a Bantha, like a special edition.
Then look at that tall ass guy walking back there.
There's like these little alien babies back there too. I always wonder what they were.
Oh yeah, they all have like shark heads.
Yeah, they're like blue.
They're funny how they're walking.
I like how there's like this C-3PO waddling down like the street, like he's like injured.
He's like broken.
Yeah. There's like Luke Speeder, except it's painted green. It looks like. There's a giant dewback walking around. I can't remember what city they said this is supposed to be.
Then there's just a normal looking guy.
It's most of those people. Yeah. There's always like some normal looking guys sprinkled in.
Or Tatooine is a planet.
Well, yeah, it's a planet, but the city, I don't know. Because I know they go to Mos Eisley Space Station to meet Han Solo and Chewbacca, but I'm not sure what city this is.
Here he comes.
Oh! The littlest actor in Star Wars.
The superstar.
So before we talk about Jake Lloyd, I guess we got to talk about the decision to make Anakin 9 years old, which apparently a lot of people try to talk George out of, but he always wanted to start with Anakin like as a boy in the Phantom Menace, not as like the main character setting out on an adventure. Looks like C-3PO's body is back there. What do you think? Like, just about the concept, or like if you can remember back to the first time you saw this movie, what did you think about meeting Anakin for the first time ever as a little boy?
Well, it's kind of hard for me to like think of it in that way because I'm one of those people who got to watch the Star Wars saga episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in that order.
Yeah.
So I wasn't introduced to the series with episode 4 and Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Like I knew who Darth Vader was before I watched any of the Star Wars movies, but I didn't get into Star Wars until all of them had been released already. So honestly, the first time I watched them all the way through was when episode 3 came out. And then I watched the other ones after that. So, like, I mean, my introduction to the character Anakin is this little boy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he was going to become Darth Vader.
Yeah,
I thought Anakin was a separate character. I knew who Darth Vader was before I watched any Star Wars movies, but I didn't know that Anakin was going to become Darth Vader until Episode 3, really. So
I could see that if you didn't really know the previous movies.
Yeah. Until, they showed him getting the mask put onto his face and the costume. It was when I realized, oh shit, so I got to have that experience of seeing this little boy become Darth Vader. That's my initial experience. So it's perfectly fine and normal to me to see him initially as a little boy, because that's just the story to me. That's just how it always was, I can't imagine what it must be like for somebody like you who saw the second half first.
Yeah.
And then maybe that's why everybody hates it, because they just wanted more Darth Vader. I don't know.
Obviously, people have a lot of different complaints about this movie and other ones, but that was the number one thing, was that people just wanted to see a Darth Vader trilogy of Darth Vader doing cool stuff and slicing people up. And,
look at his beard.
Yeah, his beard. Watto's beard is nasty.
I just saw that. So, I love Anakin. Even now, anytime we see, when I have the movies on, on TV, whenever they're on during the marathons, I always refer to Darth Vader as Anakin. I still don't really refer to him as Darth Vader, because I'm oh, it's Anakin. And it's just because I guess it's because the way I was introduced to the series. To me, that's Anakin inside, so it's just Anakin. It's not Darth Vader. I know he's called that and all that, but I grew to love Anakin so much that, to me, I just feel like that's just who he always is.
This shopkeeper alien monster lady here, I swear, there's a nasty vampire creature From Dusk Till Dawn. If you ever watch that movie, look in the background, run around. The one that eats people with her stomach. I swear it looks just like that alien in the head.
This dude is so gross to me.
Yeah, I love Sabalva.
He grosses me out how he does everything with his feet. Ugh.
Oh yeah, his feet and his hands are pretty much the same thing. But Sabalva was one of my favorite characters when this movie came out. I didn't get the Anakin pod racer, but I got the Sabalva pod racer, and it came with the little Sabalva figure. But it's again, it's just this movie was introducing so much new Star Wars to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've never disliked this movie, so I was never one of those people. I know this movie had a weird thing where at first everybody was so hyped and convinced themselves supposedly they liked it, but then they turned on it and said, no, it was actually always garbage, and we just realized it later. But I always liked this movie. I would say I liked it a lot, but the more, I saw it, and, we would go back and, we would, sneak in and, watch bits and pieces of it. That dude looked like
Alice Cooper at the table.
It did, yeah, he had Alice Cooper makeup on. But I had a Star Wars cake that had one of those that year for my birthday. I had one of those decals. You know how they put those decals, and it had the one of Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon fighting the lightsabers and I think they were fighting Darth Maul in the hangar. And I remember we would just go in and after we saw whatever movie we saw, we would go in and watch the rest of this again. And one time I totally watched the whole second half again. I don't think I went and... I could be wrong. I don't think I went and, rewatched it, the whole thing all the way through again in theaters. But, I don't know. It's weird. It's, I guess I'm just lucky that I always liked this movie. And, I even like Jake Lloyd in it. Oh, sped up R2.
Oh, God.
A lot of people thought he was a bad child actor. And obviously there's, all those screen tests you can watch of all the other kids. And everybody says the other kids were better. And
I just don't...
I think he's pretty good, Jake Lloyd. I
feel like he's good at making you feel sympathetic towards him.
It's one of those things. If I compare him to other child actors in other movies, if you compare him to Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone, then I'm oh yeah, he sucks or whatever. But as far as I don't think he's one of the greatest child actors I've ever seen. I think he's competent. I think he's good. I think he does whatever. But to me, it's just this weird thing. He's just Anakin. You know what I mean? It's I don't really care about how good or not. To me, that's Anakin right there.
I don't really see anything like negative or bad about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I know the thing George Lucas said. The other kids were like too rehearsed actor kids. He didn't want a kid that seemed like an actor. He wanted a kid, and Jake Lloyd does have this kind of delivery, like where he's just rushing his lines out, saying "oh," like when he's excited. But I think it actually comes off as like actually more like naturalistic. So I don't have a problem with his performance at all.
I feel like that's just his character.
Yeah, and I like
this is the introduction of the best friends.
Yep, this is when 3PO. Now this was kind of like the first criticism I've heard of this movie. Like right when it came out, this was the first thing people were buzzing about negatively. Was that the universe was becoming too small. That like it's so corny and coincidental that Darth Vader as a kid would make C-3PO, and even I was kind of like that is kind of stretching a little bit. But it wasn't anything that really bothered me. Like, what do you think about like tying together the story that closely?
I mean, obviously you don't learn it till later, but you eventually learn that he's got Jedi qualities, so I mean, it makes sense that he'd be skilled in it, in making, like, robots and stuff, and it's like, I mean, R2 helped Amidala's ship, so she has him with her, and, I mean, Anakin made C-3PO, like, I don't know, like, I feel like there's just so much, like, weird-ass criticism about these movies that I'm just like, why is everybody so critical about everything? Like, it's just so weird. It's like, to me, I see it, like, happy. Like, oh, look how cool. This is how it came together, Like, I'm not like, this is stupid. How did this come together? Like, it's just, I don't get it. Like, with these things, I just love everything because it's fun and it makes sense. Like, now you understand why R2 and C-3PO were in the second half of the saga. Like,
yeah. And they were always, it's like based on Kurosawa's, I think, Yojimbo, where there's two, like,
Anakin was looking at Jar Jar like, ugh.
I know.
That was funny.
But, like, R2 and 3PO are supposed to be, like, the observers of the story all the way through. So, in a way, like, if you're looking at that approach, it does make sense that they would be in the story somehow from the beginning,
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, they made it make sense. Like I said, R2 saved Amidala's ship. Now Amidala, or Padme, as she's known in this scene, is there with them, and she's trying to, like, get the lay of the land as queen. It's just like, so R2's with her, and then he made C-3PO. Like, I don't know. Like, it just, there's nothing that's, like, ridiculous about that storyline to me. Like, it just doesn't, I don't know. Like I said, I'm really freaking biased about these movies that I just love them, and I don't, there's nothing that really, like, every once in a while, depending on my mood when we're watching them, like, sometimes Jar Jar annoys me, and I'm just like, oh god, he's so fucking clumsy, like, it does annoy me, but then there's most of the time when I watch it, I'm just, I feel, like, not sorry for him, but, like, in his clumsiness, he still manages to help. So it's like, I don't always feel annoyed by him, but that if I ever have any negative feelings about anything about Star Wars, that's it. Like, that's the most that I ever feel, and that's not even every time we watch it.
Yeah, so. There's a lame moment coming up. There's, like, some animal farts. I'm like, I don't really like that. That's like one.
They did the poop thing earlier too, but
the one criticism that I'm just like, we just don't need to see it. Like, the stepping in the poop is bad, but then the animal farting is just like, we don't need this in Star Wars. It's like. But, like, I understand he was trying to hook in the kids with this. But there was, like, that little quick scene of Darth Sidious and Darth Maul talking. I always love that scene where they're talking about, at last we'll have our revenge against the Jedi and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, Darth Maul's on the screen for about, like, 5 minutes of this movie, but it's so awesome every time he's in it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, like, why I dread, like, that they're just going to keep bringing him back up and bringing him back to life and all the newer things.
Well, like, see, like, that scene where he's like, oh, but mama, like, how could you not be like, oh, man, he really wants to do the Padres? Like, I don't think he
like, even though he doesn't know them, he just wants to help them, even though he's a little kid. I just
don't, look at, like, he looks so distressed, like, watching it without sound, it's just like, I don't know, I buy what he's selling me. Oh.
Well, also too, this is a very like pop movie, like popcorn, pop culture movie. Like Jar Jar's there. Like this is the most comic relief that's ever been in Star Wars with Jar Jar, and that ever again. And it's like Jar Jar fits this movie. Like I know people were really annoyed with him, didn't like him, but like Jar Jar fits this movie. He didn't fit the other movies, and like George Lucas can be stubborn, and people go, "See, we all complain about Jar Jar," and then he took Jar Jar out. It's like no, like Jar Jar is like in the couple, just a few little scenes in the rest of the trilogy, but it's like, this story was all about Naboo. He's from Naboo. They needed his help. He was like the bridge between the Queen's people and the Gungans. Like he fit. He was part of this story. Like. And the story gets much darker, starts getting much darker in episode 2. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, you really don't need or want that Jar Jar comic relief in parts 2 and 3, so. Yeah. I think it's good. Like, I like Jar Jar. I would like to see him again in some way eventually, but like, yeah, he's good being in this movie.
And I mean, it makes sense that it'd be a little bit more lighthearted because they did want it to be for kids, and like 2, like it's about a kid. Like it's not gonna be all dark yet, like nothing has happened yet to turn him to the dark side. Like, it's just this is the time where we get introduced to him and see why he was training with the Jedi in the first place. Like why, like what made him special, why he was the one, quote unquote, that was gonna bring balance and all that. Like, and I mean, I guess that story about the one who's gonna bring balance, I guess that kind of gets introduced in this one, right? Like they don't really talk about that.
Well, they kind of talk about the prophecy in this, and like,
but then
Qui-Gon thinks he's the one, and then like Yoda and Waste Windu are like, no, it's not him. You're wrong. It can't be him. Whatever.
Like that story only exists in the first half of the saga, right? Like they never talk about that in the second half, huh?
Trying to think.
Because I mean, there's only...
Yeah, I think you're right. I think all that story.
Because there's no reason for them to bring it up in that one.
Yeah, because at that point they knew they were all wrong, and like, because that's why Obi-Wan in Part 3 says, I forget exactly the words, but he said, you were supposed to whatever, not destroy us, but like, yeah, like it pretty much they're going off the chosen one type prophecy in this,
Yeah. To me, like, what I think is cool about his story is that they do the whole, like, magical birth thing. It just... Yeah. It's so Catholic to me, and I love it. It's so Virgin Mary to me, and I love it.
Ironically, I think people kind of scoffed at the miraculous birth. Yeah. But I think people were really upset about those midi-chloridians in his blood.
Immaculate conception. What I was trying to
people didn't care about that as much because it was magical, but the fact that you could take a blood test to tell you how much midi-chloridian cells or whatever were in your cells, that really, I know for a fact that I remember people complaining.
But like to me, that's just kind of another thing of like that that's just a technological advancement of that time.
I mean, to me, it doesn't change it because they're like, oh, like you're gonna be like powerful in the Force because you got these things in your cells. It's like, well, it's like people like not everybody feels the Force or has any sort of command of the Force in any sort of way, and like the people who are strong with it or connected to it, like they don't even know it. Like Luke was a good pilot at first before he ever knew the Force existed. But he clearly was using the Force because, like Qui-Gon explains to Anakin, "Oh, you're such a good pilot because you can see things before they happen." Yeah. So it's like, I mean, even with like the newer movies, like with the crazy shit they have Poe Dameron do in the X-wing, like I try to tell somebody like, "Oh yeah, clearly he doesn't know it, but Poe has some Force to him too," and they're like, no, he doesn't. And I'm like, dude, how can you fly at 500 miles an hour and shoot a stormtrooper on the ground with like, dude, like So yeah, see, there's like the rubber jar to see it. It's like the rubber hand there on the close-up.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah. But, I like it. I like the little shots where they can sneak in the real Jar Jar feet.
He's so cute with those little things sticking out. It looked like a hand.
Yeah, the little tool R2 uses. But, like, yeah, like, I mean, it's just, like, not everybody, you know, has that. Like, I mean, I personally, like, don't really have a problem. I mean, it's really just a plot device for them to be able to, for Qui-Gon to be able to say for sure, like, oh, you know, he's got the Force, we should take him and train him.
But, I mean, that's just one thing, like, the fact of how he was born, like, you know, it just, I don't know.
He was literally created by the Force, so, I mean, it makes sense.
I'm, like, down for, like, the whole... Like I said, the whole Virgin Mary and baby Jesus story, and I love Christmas, even though I know that's not when he was really born. But, like, I'm all about baby Jesus and all that. So, to me, I love that. I love the way he came about, you know? Like, I think it's really cool that they made it like that. And
well, how he's talking...
just makes it more special. Like, I don't know. Like, I just buy into everything that this movie is trying to tell me about this story, and I love it.
Well, he was saying, too, like, earlier, he was saying, like, he had a dream that he became a Jedi Knight, and he came back and he freed all the slaves. Because him and his... I don't think we really even acknowledge it, but him and his mom are slaves to Yoda. They gotta work in his junk shop or whatever. Yeah. And, I think that, like, maybe that was his true, like, destiny in life.
Yeah.
That, you know, because he just wanted to help people or whatever.
Special. Like...
But because the Jedi are like, oh, no emotional attachments. You can't go help your mom. You can't help any other slaves. We don't involve ourselves in that sort of thing. Like, I mean, obviously that's a big part of what helped him turn dark in Episode 2.
See, like this, like it's just their technology that they have. Like he poked him with the thing, and now he stuck it in a razor, and like. You know, now he can send the info to... I mean, it's just like now. It's like Wi-Fi. Like, I mean, I don't get why this idea of the midi-chloridians is such like a... Oh, that, you know, why does that happen? Why is it... That's stupid. You know, it's like...
Yeah. Well, I don't think so much people saying it's stupid. They're just saying it robs it of all mystery or explaining it too much. And I'm just kind of like... I don't know, like, if...
Well, then go watch episodes 4 through 6 and pretend like you never heard it. Like, just like...
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I always... You know, I like the wars part of Star Wars, but people just like the star magic. They want it all to be just, like, fantasy fairy tales. And I'm just like... He explains to Anakin that the midi-chloridians are, like... You know, tiny organisms that are inside all your cells. Like, it's just like the glue that holds us all together.
It's still magical.
You know?
It's not like he knows what they are.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's not like he can give you a shot of them and make you have force powers, you know?
Here he comes.
Yeah, I like Darth Maul with his little probes he sends up.
Making his moves.
See, there's like, even just stuff like this, of just him walking out of the ship and sending out those things, like, it's so cool.
That transition from the dark to the light always makes my eyes blow out.
Yeah, because it's like... super
so bright compared to that dark scene.
You know, which, by the way, like, because you weren't really following like this movie or whatever at the time, this pod race, you don't even understand how big pod racing was. There's so many video games made about it. I played them. Star Wars Racer Revenge. What do you think of Sebulba having, like, groupies back there that, like, tend to him? I mean, they're not really groupies, but they're, like, these women that, like, take care of him. Like,
these handmaidens.
His sexy blue ladies, whatever.
She's fighting.
They give him, like... Yeah, they give him, like, a manicure.
So gross. He grosses me out when I see him. I'm just like, oh, my God. I can't stand looking at him. He
I love Sebulba.
Look, she's massaging his back. Oh, my God. So gross.
Yeah, so Sebulba reminds me, like, his face, he reminds me somehow of, like, a catfish or something.
You know what I love that's so consistent in these? That the fact that George never ignores that there's wings flapping. Yeah. So you see his hair, like, blowing
from Watsu's wings, yeah.
And then, like, when he went by Jar Jar was like, what? He put his arms up because his wings were just flapping in his face. Yeah. There was another scene earlier, too, that I think... Oh, here he's going to use his Jedi magic.
Yeah, I think it's funny, too, that Watto is, like, he's the kind of alien he is called a Toydarian. And he tells him, like, oh, your Jedi mind tricks won't work on me, because he was trying to fool him earlier. Yeah. Well, there's the whole subplot about winning the race and Watto splitting the winnings with him so he can get the part he needs. But like, yeah, like he knows, like, I mean, he even knows that he tricked him right there because he had his like, Watto was using like a, what do you call it, like a trick dice where he knows how it's going to roll, and then Qui-Gon just uses the Force to flip it over to get what he needs there. Now, we were talking about 3PO a little bit earlier. There's the space camels there. We talked about 3PO. What do you think about 3PO, like, in this puppet form? Because I thought it was, like, the coolest thing. And it's obviously just a puppet. I mean, you can tell it is. But, like, I thought it was so cool that you got to see the inside of him.
I like it because I always, like, you know that exhibit that started going around, like, about the human body? And, like, it shows people posing and, like, they have their skin off and you can see the insides. Well, before that existed, I used to always be like, oh, I wish we could see the inside of people, like, when, like, standing up and alive, but, like, see what it looks like through their skin, you know? Like, I was always curious about that, and so, like, to me, that was kind of like that with C-3PO. I was like, oh, like, that's cool. You could see how his insides work when he's, like, walking around and stuff. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I have the little action figure of that version of C-3PO.
Really? They made that?
Yeah. Wow. They, I mean, especially for this one, they made the figure pretty much everybody.
Here's your favorite guys.
Yeah, this is like another thing I guess I gotta be critical about. I was like, I don't really like these announcer guys at the pod race. They're aliens, they're like a two-headed alien, obviously. Honestly, some of the pod racing aliens in general, a lot of these little ones are just like generic hokey aliens. But yeah, like the commentary, like, I don't know, it was like too, it's not so much that it's too goofy, it's like too human for me. I don't know, it's like, hey, corny.
He's so gross. I think it's because of the way his body is bent. Like, it just, like, weirds me out. Like, I don't know.
Like, you can never tell what are his feet and what are his arms. Is it 3-8? Yeah. Well, you can see a lot of different... Yeah, so I looked it up. Like, this
one looks like a reindeer.
Yeah, he does. This is most of... Which, by the way, all these aliens are in the pod racing game. You can choose which one of these pods you want to drive, everything. You can drive them around. I think you can upgrade the parts and do all that kind of crap between races. I always just played as either Anakin or Sabalu, but you can do these other ones. I love the pit crew droids. The little, like, they have little cameras for eyes. And, like, they're always, like, doing hijinks on it. Like, everybody's pit crew droids are, because, like, they're all over the hangar in the earlier scenes. I thought these crowd scenes were good, like, in terms of, like, you know, they had to do CGI probably to fill in the crowds. I thought it actually looked good for how old this movie.
This was one of the things I noticed for the first time the last time we watched it, that C-3PO was going out there with the flag.
Yeah, and you could see, like, 3PO's, like, whole body almost, except just his feet. So, like, however they puppeted that or however they pulled that off was really cool.
And the flag was, like, blowing hard, too. Like, so I don't know how they did that. Unless they really had, like, a guy in a costume.
We talked a little bit about how Anakin was born, but we didn't talk too much about his mom, Shami Skywalker. What do you think of the character Shami Skywalker? Because I really liked her, and it sucked that she, you know, they had to leave her behind or whatever.
I don't know. I like her. Like, I really don't. Like, I don't know. Like, she's really a legit, like, background character to me. I really don't have any kind of emotional connection with her. I think I just mostly feel Anakin's connection with her, because then, like, obviously what happens later on in the other movies, but, like, I'm just so, like, emotionally attached to Anakin that, like, I only really think of her whenever he's, like, interacting with her or, like, feeling anything about her. But, like, I don't... She's just kind of like a... There's, like, a literary term for it, but... I don't know, she's just kind of like, I guess now on TV, she's just, they have like a word like, thingamabob or whatever, like the thing that people chase after. I forget the word they all use now, which, by the way, came from Joss Whedon. But,
the MacGuffin or whatever?
Yeah. Like, I kind of feel like she's like that. She's the thing that, like, keeps him fired up. So it's like, I don't know, but I've never really had a really emotional connection with her personally.
I liked her, and I liked that they got. Honestly, I always liked. I don't even know the actress's name. I haven't really.
You see, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't know the lady, but I always liked her in the movie because, like, I liked that they got a lady that seemed like a real mom. They didn't just get, like, some 27-year-old model or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she seemed like a lady that was, like, living a hard life on this terrible desert planet as a slave and everything. And then, what I always liked about her and the way she portrayed it, she's, like, very willing because she knows, like, his life is... Like, it's almost like
she knows he's special.
Well, she knows he's special, but she even tells Qui-Gon, like, he deserves better than a slave's life.
Yeah.
Like, she wants better for him, you know? Yeah. And, like, as much as she loves him, like, she's willing to let him go because she wants him to be free, you know? Yeah. And I always liked that about her character. Like, it's a very earnest portrayal, but I liked it.
I wonder what happened to that little boy, his friend.
I don't know, because, like, I could have only seen that little boy in this movie. Yeah, here's Jabba. I like this version of Jabba. I have the toy of it, but it's pretty much the same version of him that's in the special edition of A New Hope. It's kind of younger, greener Jabba. He hasn't turned all like brown yet. He's like tan and green, whereas in Return of the Jedi, he's like tan and brown.
Oh no!
But yeah, like the little boy that plays his friend is like so familiar. But there's Warwick Davis in two roles. He plays the tiny Rhodian alien, and then he just plays like a little, I don't know, what you call just henchman guy or hanger-on guy of Jabba the Hutt as a human.
Ooh. He is so stinking cute in this scene. Oh my gosh, I love it. He's so cute. I always love those shots of him with the little goggles and the helmet. He's so cute.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I love his little goggle get-up thing. Yeah. It's so cool. Like, this is so iconic. Like, a lot of the Pepsi tie-ins, like, they did a whole Pepsi can line-in of all the different things. And, like, they would always show Anakin with the goggles on and on the soda can. I think it's a Pepsi can. It's so, I don't know. There's, what's her name, Mara Singh, who becomes, like, a bounty hunter, like, in the cartoon. And she adopts Boba Fett for a little while. But, yeah, like, a lot of this is, like, all models and stuff. Like, I just think this work here is great. Like, it's mostly more practical than it is CGI, but I think this is a great sequence.
Like the racers are models?
I mean, the racers I don't know about, but like the background and the scenery, a lot of it is like, especially like I know the stadium is real. They just had a CGI in the people, but like, yeah, like a lot of the like canyons and stuff. Tuscan Raiders. Like this was so cool. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but
it's like a video game.
Yeah, like the fan service they do now, just having stuff pop up. But just seeing the Tuscan Raiders pop up out of nowhere. But, like, of course the Tuscan Raiders, just for fun, are going to go shoot their rifles at the pod racers.
Oh.
But another thing, too, is, like, I love the whole concept of the pods, like how volatile they are. Like, sometimes they don't even work, or they can easily blow up, and pretty much, like, 3/4 of the people die in every pod race.
So scary.
Yeah, and like that's what makes it so cool that such a little kid is doing it. Like, I know a lot of people didn't like it that Anakin was so young in this. Yeah, I love the pit droid that sucked into the engine.
And then he got spit
But then he didn't get like chewed up. He just crawled up or fell out. But like, yeah, like I don't know, like just everything Anakin kind of does in this movie. Like, I kind of like it more because it's like.
Dude, the kid was talking to R2.
He was. But like, I kind of like, just like the pod race. Like, to me, it's actually cooler that he's not like a cool and brash 16-year-old. That he's actually just like a 9-year-old kid doing it.
And it's so cool too how like, I mean, you don't realize it. I mean, I guess you do because the second half of the saga came out first. But just how like in this, they're always like Skywalker this, Skywalker that. It's like the name is so like. It's so cool to hear that name being used, like, for something so cool. Like,
yeah.
When he was just a little boy before he was anybody,
Yeah.
Before he became what he became. Before the name became what it became.
Before it became the Skywalker saga. Which, It never was called that until they made a trilogy about somebody who wasn't a Skywalker. I like the thing too that like the pods or whatever that are attached to the jet engines. I like how they're all just kind of like hanging off those ropes.
Yeah,
like getting pulled.
It's weird. Like I didn't realize that they were all like that until like the one shot where they show all of them like before the race starts. I was like, oh yeah, like I never noticed that they're all like that.
Yeah,
I'm just so familiar with his.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he looks blindfolded.
Yeah, you're like a giant budget.
This is dangerous, man. Like, this is hardcore for, like, a thing that's supposed to be for kids.
Yeah. This was probably the coolest part of the 3D version that they did in the theater. A pod race.
Oh, my God.
But, yeah, like, where his pod gets detached by one of the engines, and he was just, like, spinning around upside down.
Well, it's because Sebulba took it out, right?
Well, I think because Sebulba made the other guy crash. It's that other part he broke off. I think this got knocked off because the debris hit his cable. But yeah, there's like another part that Sebulba straight broke off.
Yeah,
like,
dude, go get it.
Yeah, I love how even like the little shots of like his hands working in the compact. Like it's so cool, like seeing all the controls and like you actually see him do it. Like it's like hard.
That's how I feel like when I'm in my car now.
Yeah, you're like, and then you just go fast.
When I touch the gas pedal and it goes, it jumps forward.
Yeah, his pod actually got shot by the Tuscan Raider too. So yeah, so like.
Now I'm intrigued by it this time.
The race, yeah, I know. Like I had to started just watching it for a second there. But I like the whole spectator, like that thing that tower that Qui-Gon and them are on. The how like they get on the ground and it raises up. They can see up high, like the whole race.
I like how his bottom of his face gets all dirty.
Which is kind of funny that everybody like watches the pod race, but they really can't see it.
His
like,
face, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
like
know.
they're just waiting for them to come back around, but
well, that's like NASCAR, isn't it?
I mean, NASCAR is a much smaller thing where like you can kind of see across the way, but like yeah, like when I went to the Indy 500, I was on the inside part looking at the track, so I just was waiting for them to come around.
That's what I'm thinking of because it's a bigger. I thought it was a bigger track on that one. Boo.
Which doesn't sound exciting, but it is. Especially when they come roaring by. Jar Jar asks, did he crash it?
Dang.
Jawas. Well, even Jawas are watching this. I like those parts too where like they're up, like higher up, and then like they drop down. Like, that's cool. There's an awesome part later on where Darth Maul. Yeah, there's that part that's above Rook. There's an awesome part too where Darth Maul is on his speeder bike and drops down off a cliff.
What was the name of that arcade game that was a driving game? Like Cruising USA or whatever?
That's Cruising USA.
That's what this reminds me of.
Yeah,
I sucked at that game.
With all the... unless there was one I forgot about or something, with all the... what do you call it? With all the Star Wars racer games, surprised they didn't make an arcade version. At the time, there was a Star Wars trilogy arcade game that was awesome. Came out right before the prequels did. So just play at the arcade.
He's so funny. Oh. He's like, whoa.
Yeah, I like that little plug thing he does.
I like that. Yeah, like I like all that
power.
little stuff where he's like pulling out stuff and flipping switches and being a badass. Like, oh, this is my machine. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, he built it.
He's so cute.
I like the coloring of like his pod too. Like I like how the engines are yellow and blue.
Ooh, his face.
And then the pod is like silver and blue.
Oh my gosh. You gotta be heartless to... Oh my god, to like talk shit about
Yeah, I can't believe... I mean, what I was gonna say before, like, especially like the first 40 minutes of this movie, like, there's so much adventure, and like, I love that this one, even more so some of the later ones, this one really does feel like a sci-fi adventure serial. Like, this one more than the other ones really does feel like... the homage to Flash Gordon.
Oh. His is so much smaller than Sebulba's.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Sebulba's, like, jet engines are so huge.
That little boy.
Yeah.
I'll look that boy up.
See if he ever acted. Yeah, this is scary where him and Sebulba's pods get, like, tangled with them.
It just looks like he's gonna get fried up.
Yeah.
His mom's like, this sucks. Like, I like her in that she doesn't treat him like a normal little boy.
Yeah.
Because she knows that he's not a normal little boy.
Yeah.
There he goes.
I love the shot of Sebulba. Whoa! See, like his pod was real there. You could tell they just animated him sitting in it. But yeah, it's a great shot.
Yay!
Yippee! That's like
he was afraid he was gonna hit him in the face or something.
Yeah, he did. The little aliens started dancing.
They actually reused that shot from earlier.
Did they?
When they were dancing, yeah. Like, they cut away before, like, right before that part that he...
This is the best part where Anakin takes off his helmet. He's got that dirt mask. Oh, yeah. Like, he looks like a skull. Like, his eyes are so white and around his face is, like, so dirty.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, he fell asleep.
Yeah, Bib Fortuna. Job was right here, man. That was your first look at a young Bib Fortuna.
Oh. Ah.
Ugh. Yeah, you think she would kiss him on the clean part of his face?
Oh.
I was always wishing in like The Mandalorian or something.
This is making me emotional.
That they would have somebody like steal a pod racer and do something cool in a pod racer again.
I don't know. It's making me like. Now that you brought it up about how everybody disliked it, it's just, and then I'm like dreading you at like talking about him, the actor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, Jake Lloyd did other movies. I mean, he did a Christmas movie, Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, he did a lot of, I won't say a lot, but he did a handful of movies around this time. But like, yeah, pretty much he took all the shit for being in Star Wars. But it's okay now because we live in a kinder, gentler society where nobody would ever bully anybody. Oh no, wait, no, we don't. It's all the same.
Yeah, but I mean that shit took a toll on him. Like he's not okay now after all this time, and it's just like all because of like basically the same way that people are today about actors.
Yeah.
It's like they sit there and they harass people, and it's like. We're just never gonna learn as a society. It's like, just like, why do you like that? Like, I don't get it. Like, go get a life. Like, geez.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that like now people there's a new wave of articles coming out even today of crying about how poorly treated the more recent Star Wars actors are, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I mean, we can hold people to be more civil. We should, but like, I don't really worry about like. A 25-year-old, like I worry about somebody who's like 9 years old getting bullied over shit. You know what I mean? Like
he's finding out they're free, but not he's free, but not her.
Yeah, Qui-Gon did try to get them both freed, but Watto would only agree to let the boy go. So
he's finding out he's gonna get to become a Jedi.
It'd be awesome if Qui-Gon just like. Put out his lightsaber and slice Watto in half so they could both be free. But they actually said it earlier that they have chips in them. If they try to run away and escape, that Watto can just blow their heads off.
Yeah. And it's interesting that they never bring that up later on about like trying to find it in him to like take it out or something.
Well, they even said that his mom said that Anakin was working on a scanner to try and find their chips.
Yeah. So
they could take them out. Because it was saying, like, every slave has it somewhere in their body. Like, I guess they do it at different spots or whatever.
Oh, so this is the first time that he's realizing that he's going to have to separate from his mom.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Because Qui-Gon already told him, like, he would take him or whatever, make him a Jedi, but, his mom's like, oh, it's your choice.
Ugh, even Qui-Gon's So another reason why I really love this one is because I have, like, I don't know, all of my favorite characters derived out of this, really. 'Cause, like, I love Amidala, and Qui-Gon is my favorite Jedi out of all of them. Like, I just love him so much. Like,
Yeah.
so this one's, like, so heartbreaking for me, but it's like, I just love how he is. Like, he's tough, and he follows the Jedi way, but he still has his own mind.
Yeah.
And he's so sympathetic. Like,
it's like the three things I love the most about this movie is I love Qui-Gon, I love Darth Maul, and I really love young Obi-Wan. And it's like 2 out of those 3 people don't survive this movie. But like, as much as I hated that at the time, like I hated seeing Darth Maul die, I hate seeing Qui-Gon die, because I was like, oh, they're such cool new characters, you know? Like, there's also something kind of pure about, like, limiting that and moving on to where, like, the characters, because, like, both those characters are so cool in this movie. Like, I like this weird shot of, like, the point of view of C-3PO. Yeah. I think that's, like, a cool touch.
I was going to bring it up, but that's, like, really the
how he's looking down at Anakin. But, like, I like kind of like that touch that, like, your favorite characters, like, won't be worn out, and you know, and that's kind of, like, why I don't like this whole resurrection of Darth Maul, and I'm just, like, I get it's just because nobody knew how popular he would be, but it's like, it was cooler when he got hacked in half by Obi-Wan.
This is really like when you see how much he's like so connected to her.
Yeah, I think this is, I think actually his acting is really good in this scene too.
And then she tells you, what does your heart tell you? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's breaking down, he doesn't want to leave his mom. You know. I love the thing where he's like, will I ever see you again? And she says, what does your heart tell you? He says, yeah, you know.
Even doing a podcast, I can't not cry.
Yeah.
Because it's just, you just know what's going to happen. And it's just like hearing them say those things and just seeing them interact. And
that was another criticism of all the prequel things, was like, well, you were never really that emotionally invested because you knew what was going to happen. I'm like, to me, that made it better. Like, that knowing...
It makes it so much more tragic.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you ever saw, like, the original teaser poster, but it was, like, him in, like, this little village walking, and on the shadow of the wall was Darth Vader's shadow.
Yeah.
Like, that poster's so awesome. But it's just, like, knowing how tragic it's going to be. It is awesome with Darth Maul's speeder bike. He just flies off this cliff. Like, it's so cool how it just drops down. You're like, oh, shit. Like,
it surprises me every time.
I mean, obviously it's a special effect, but it looks like, oh, shit. Like, it looks like he's going to crash.
It looks like he really, like, dropped off.
Yeah. But, like, yeah.
Know,
like,
it catches me every time. Here's your favorite part.
Yep. When he sees Darth Maul coming through. Anakin, drop! And he just drops down, and the speeder goes over him.
Yeah, we get our first one-on-one lightsaber.
I like it, too, like... when Qui-Gon describes, like, the fight, like, he describes Darth Maul as, like, a creature or whatever. Like, he doesn't even, like, think of him as a person. Yeah, so supposedly George Lucas came up with the look of Darth Maul based on a nightmare he had. Which is funny because, like, Darth Maul is, like, he's so iconic, but it's really just face paint and some little glued-on horns. Like, I mean, just goes to show you don't have to do that much, you know, to create something cool.
Hey, it's not face paint. That's the color of his face.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying how they made it. Like you didn't need to, like, you know, like, they created, like, the ultimate bad guy, but, like...
prosthetics.
Yeah, it's just a guy in, like, probably only a couple hours worth of makeup in a robe, and it's just... But the character feels so real.
What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah. Qui-Gon's all sweaty.
Everybody's gonna be friends.
It's just weird because, like...
Oh my god. This is so hard to watch.
See, like, I don't know, like, I get with some prequels, they rob all the mystery and backstory, or they explain too much. But to me, it's cool seeing Anakin meet Obi-Wan for the first time.
This crawling chair thing, too. Last time we watched it, that was the first time I saw that, too. Yeah. I was like, oh, I didn't even know he was on this crawling chair thing.
Yeah. Which is kind of like how they did Darth Maul's robot legs later in the cartoon.
I totally never noticed.
But even just these scenes of like the alien guy talking to the robots, I don't know why, but I love this shit.
That looks cool.
Nope. See, like if you look at Jar Jar there, like his feet kind of look more real. Yeah, so Padme's getting the broadcast of the politicians from Naboo saying like, oh, they're killing everybody, they're killing us, you got to come back and surrender yourself, because that, like, basically they got to sign a treaty. Yeah, like, see his feet there, like they look more real. You can see the pants are more leather.
Oh yeah. It looks funny.
Yeah. But there you can tell his head is CGI. He's cold in space, Anakin is. This is the first beginnings of love here. Because when they first met, he thought Padme was an angel. And then he asked her, are your feet tired? Because you've been running through my mind all day.
He didn't say that. Jeez, that's not what this is.
He gives her the necklace here that he carved out of a Japor snippet. It'll bring her good fortune. I always thought this was weird though, where he's like, oh, I don't need this to remember you, whatever. Oh, she says that to him.
I'm curious if she ever wears it. I never noticed her wear it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Doesn't she wear it in Clone Wars?
I think maybe in Clone Wars, but I don't remember like actually in the movies her wearing it.
Yeah.
I thought it was like I thought she made like a bracelet out of it or something.
Yeah, I know it shows up again somewhere, I thought.
Yeah. And here they go to Coruscant, which is where like all the, I guess you'd say, intergalactic government is. Again, we're going to get bogged down now for a good hour and a half with these governmental proceedings that nobody can stand to tolerate here. I always like this too, because it's like, I like how the movie doesn't like hoodwink you. Like it's always obvious like who's Palpatine really is, because he just puts on the little hood when he talks to him, a hologram. Like it's so obvious that it's like, yeah, what's his name? Sheev Palpatine. Yeah, Palpatine is Darth Sidious. Like it's always obvious, but it's cool that like nobody else knows.
Here's the imposter.
Yeah, I think it's Keira Knightley again. There's good old Chancellor Valorum, played by Terrence Stamp, who unfortunately his figure from this movie became the biggest peg warmer. Like months later, when all the Darth Maul, it was really hard to get Darth Maul. I never got the original Darth Maul figure that they put out. You would just go and it'd just be literally piles and piles of Chancellor Valorum.
And Anakin was looking up. That was funny.
Yeah. Yeah, he is funny. I like how he turns around and looks at him here.
Yeah, I was always wondering, like, why he...
And he gets, like, confused, like, oh, where should I go? Or Qui-Gon's like, no, go with them. I think because, like, he felt something, like, they were talking about, or
That's what I was
remember.
wondering.
Yeah.
Like, what... Like, was that supposed to be, like, a sign of him, here's your guy?
Yeah, I like this. I don't know what you call this little alien guy that drives this taxi thing.
But yeah, I kind of was wondering, like, did he, like, have some suspicions about something or something? Like, he was acting so strange like there.
Yeah, like, you kind of, I don't know, like, it's like he doesn't know who to go with. Does he go with the Jedi or does he go with the Queen? Like, I don't know if it's just, like, a logistic thing of, like, should I go with them or stay with you? Or it's like, but he was, like, it's kind of like an unnatural moment, like you said, so it's like, you're kind of like, well, maybe, like, he did feel something there because he was standing right next to the fucking Emperor, you know?
Yeah. I like this. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Dang it. Oh.
I think that's really her now as the Queen.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Is that silver thing on her or in the background? I think it's on the background.
I think it's the back. It's like the frame of the window.
It looked like it was like part of her.
Yeah. I guess we should talk about Ian McDermott here. Comes back to play Palpatine. who played the Emperor in Return of the Jedi. And he was actually surprised when George Lucas called him, because he's like, oh, it's been like, whatever, 16 years since, we worked together or whatever. He's like, I was just under all this makeup and like, whatever. He's like, I didn't think you would like call me for such a big on-screen role. And like, George was just like loyal like that. He was like, no, he's like, it's your role. Like, I originally gave it to you, and like, you're going to do it again. And like, yeah, like, I mean, I think just about anybody who watches this movie or these prequel movies, even people don't like it as much, I think pretty much everybody universally gives Ian McDermott praise, because it is a good kind of complex portrayal. Like, I like it. That was another thing too, is like once the story kind of wrapped up, like I just appreciated the whole rise of Palpatine story. Now this is where we get the first time we ever see Jedi Council. We got Yoda, of course, who this version we're watching, he's a
young buck.
He's a young buck, but he's CGI. Whereas when this movie came out in the theater, he was a puppet.
Oh, really?
And it was I have to say, it was a terrible looking puppet. Like, it didn't even look like Yoda. Because there's also Yaddle over there, who's a female Yoda, whatever, person. And
this guy looks like he's from a horror movie.
Yeah, with the long thing.
Like Beetlejuice or something.
Over there's Ki-Adi-Mundi, who I always call Penis Head. He just has that big cone head. But, yeah, like, that was something in between the theatrical and the Blu-ray. Like, just for the Blu-ray, I guess, they made new Yoda. Oh. And I have to say, like, I like it because it fits continuity-wise with the way he looks in episode 2 and 3. Oh. Yeah, the original puppet was terrible. Like, I don't even know what they were thinking, why it was so bad.
I think he looks cute on here.
Yeah, he looks like the Yoda we know. But,
Samuel L. Jackson's like, these fuckers.
Yeah, like, I didn't know really what to make of Samuel Jackson when I first saw it, like, this movie. I was like, why is he, like, acting so cool?
I like this guy who called me on his little walkie-talkie.
Yeah, it's like some real Buck Rogers shit. Okay, so this is the original pup. I hate it. Even to this day, I hate it.
This makes me sad how she doesn't break character just to say goodbye to him.
So here, live on audio, here's the original Yoda puppet.
Oh gosh, it looks like Mark Hamill.
It's horrible. It doesn't even look like Yoda the way we know it. Like, it's very ugly. Looks like some out of a horror movie. He was so cute in like Empire Strikes Back, and like I don't know what they were thinking.
They could have used that puppet.
Yeah. Like, this is him in the, the original movies. That looks nothing like the thing that they made. Let's talk about this how long is this scene? Like 30 or 40 minutes? I mean, it's so boring that they're taking the time to... But no, the action...
But it's so fun, because you see E.T.
I know, you see all these aliens, and I thought the Galactic Senate was, like, cool looking when they showed it. Like, how they're on those hovering platforms. There's the Nemoidians from, not the evil Nemoidians, but the ones from their planets or whatever. Everybody always said Bailing was supposed to be in Star Wars, and I can't tell if this woman is Bailing or not, or if she's just some other lady. But, like, she's got real heavy makeup on. It's hard to tell who she is. But,
here's your favorite part.
Yeah. Got another 35 minutes of Galactic. But, no, it's just, like, basically all that's happening is that Palpatine, because, like, the Chancellor of Lorne, who basically runs the Senate or whatever, he's like, oh, we got to take months to investigate these claims, and we all got to talk about whether we want to come help your planet or not from these evil Nemoidians and everybody. And she's like, people are dying now. Like, we can't wait for you to screw around, And so, like, Palpatine puts in her head, like, well, he's not going to act fast enough.
She looks so sad.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, with some good face acting there. But basically all like that's all this scene is. This whatever this is, 2.5 minute scene. Is she just introduces to the Senate like, okay, you're not going to do anything, so I'm going to vote for basically a poll of no confidence in you, and if the rest of the Senate wants to get rid of you, you'll be replaced, which they end up doing, and they end up I guess Chancellor Lorne wasn't that popular, and of course they have sympathy for the planet, so they get Palpatine to be the new Chancellor. He gets all the power, and that's basically step one, of how he, even when I saw this, even though I didn't know what was going to happen in part 2 and 3, like I knew, there's the ETs down there. I knew that this was the beginning of his rise to the Emperor. So it's like you're seeing the Emperor's first very little step into getting this power, but
well,
it was too boring.
Like basically like the same thing he's doing to her is the same thing he did to Anakin.
Exactly.
Ugh,
first he works. First he works her, then he works him, and then he basically like helps to kill her by putting all that fear and jealousy in Anakin's mind.
But just the way he's like standing next to her, like talking like a little fucking demon on her shoulder, so nasty.
Yeah, here's a scene of HDR gone wrong. This looks totally wrong. You can't see anything.
Here he is getting tested.
Yep.
Poor baby, he's so scared.
They basically do like the Ghostbusters test where they have a little monitor showing photos or drawings, and he has to guess what's on there. Yoda's like,
just train him, Yoda. Jeez, I think this is like the first time I feel like it was the Jedi that kind of sparked the dark side in him, because this whole conversation that's happening right now, his face starts to change.
Yeah, like everybody blames the Jedi because obviously he wasn't allowed to go save his mom, and then when he did kind of go do it on the down low, it was too late, obviously. But I don't know, like Palpatine really turned him. I mean, honestly.
But I mean, look, like, see, he's like, I don't know, like, I feel like those words that he's saying to him, like, I feel like he's like, that was a spark. I don't know. I'm not saying they completely turned him, I'm just saying that's the spark of, like, where it started coming into him, of him getting rejected like that.
Well, I think also, too, is, like, the situation was, like, he was feeling the pressure. He's, like, this little kid auditioning, like, the greatest, like, against the greatest warriors in the galaxy. And it's, like, what's going to happen to him if they don't let him in? You know what I mean? Because he's technically too old. He's, like, 9 years old, I think, in this film. And you're supposed to, like, start training as a Jedi when you're, like, literally a baby. Because, like, basically you can't be old enough to have any emotional attachment to even your parents. Like, that's how strict it is, and, like, they can't take a wife. It's just, like, basically you're, like, a monk.
I mean, I get that. It's just... I mean... If he's got that high of a midi-chlorian level, it's like... What is it? Midi-chlorian?
I think it's midi-chloridian.
Yeah. If he has, like, that high of a number of those, it's kind of like you kind of need to take him in. It doesn't matter how old he is.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't, like, what is he going to turn into,
Well, I think what they're worried about is they train him, he becomes a warrior, but because he has emotional attachment, he could turn dark, which, I mean, kind of is what happens, but at the same time, it was a lot of the... I mean, I know a lot of people say, like, there's a lot of people that believe that it was 100% the Jedi rules that, compromised them, but I mean... It's also, too, the reason he went on a limb and switched sides was to try and save Padme, and that was all from Palpatine. That was, Padme was never really actually going to die until, like, pretty much it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because the only reason she really died was because she got choked or whatever.
You see that little smile. Fuck that guy.
He's awesome.
I like this scene.
Yeah, like they tell Qui-Gon, no, we won't train him, and he's like, well, what about the prophecy?
He's like, what? I'm gonna train him now.
Yeah, he tells them. There's Plo Koon over there, another one of my favorite
Is the chosen
Jedi.
You must see it.
Yeah. Clouded this boy's future is, says Yoda.
Well, it wouldn't be clouded if you would train him.
It wouldn't be clouded if Qui-Gon didn't die and there wasn't this Phantom Menace going on.
I take him on as my Padawan. Obi-Wan is ready for the trials. Yeah, I'm ready.
Obi-Wan's ready.
Tell him.
And Yoda tells them, our council will decide who's ready. I like the alien's head just bobbing in the background.
He has much to learn of the living force. That's interesting.
Qui-Gon just wants to bring balance to the Force. Mm-hmm. You guys are too scared.
See that look? He's like, I hate you. I'm gonna kill you someday.
I always thought like that one shot at the back of Sam Jackson's head seemed like it was reflecting kind of the green screen light a little bit. Yeah, like I didn't really know how to take Samuel Jackson's Mace one doing this one because like he doesn't really do anything in this one. He's just always sitting in the room talking to Yoda. But yeah, when you see him like get to fight in part 2 and everything in part 3, like you see how like badass of a Jedi Mace Windu is. Like yeah, like
I feel like he's pimping it in this one. He's just chilling in the chair.
Yeah, he's
with
like
his arm up the side and everything.
He comes off as like too cool for school in this one because like you don't really get to see him like backing his shit up. He's just acting like real badass or whatever, or just real cool. R2 looks clean there. Mm-hmm. I like how he always calls him Qui-Gon, sir.
Poor baby.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, everybody listening to this is already going to have their opinion about this movie, but I can't imagine people sitting in a theater with popcorn hating the shit out of this right now.
Midi-chlorians.
Oh, chlorians. Oh, those chlorians. Yeah, midi-chlorian is the thing that ruined Star Wars. Microscopic life form that resides within all living cells. They live inside yourself. There's symbionts with them. Not symbiotes, symbionts. Life forms living together from mutual advantage. Man, it's exhausting when you celebrate Star Wars anniversary past midnight, let me tell you.
I know.
But that's why I kept trying to do this like earlier. But
well, there's life to live, dude.
Yeah. I think Jar Jar looks weird there. He looks like stop motion or something.
I think we saw that outfit.
Yeah.
I thought I remembered those long things.
Yeah, they kind of look like, what's her name? Ula or whatever. Jar Jar's dancer. Jar Jar. Jabba's dancer. Like those alien girls that have the blue tendrils on their heads. I like that part where they say they're going back to Naboo and Jar Jar's like, "We still going home!" I love Jar Jar. I like too, like when the trilogy wraps up, you hear a Gungan, like you don't know if it's Jar Jar or whatever, like just in the giant crowd, you just hear somebody going, "We so free!" He's sending Darth Maul, his apprentice.
Sending my apprentice.
A Sith? Here? Oh.
Yeah? Oh.
Mm. I don't know why, like, I really like the way the spaceship looks in the movie, like the interiors, like the consoles and everything. Like, it looks very real to me, and like it's like a real thing.
See, like, even right there, when he's talking to that pilot, and the pilot's like, "Oh, you catch on really quick." See, like, he's just smart, like...
Yeah, he's not a dodo.
Yeah.
Like, he actually, the way they portray it, it's just like, he's good at a lot of stuff, but it's just more that he's like, he's naturally bright, but he's engaged, like, he's asking questions. He just doesn't need to blink his eyes and say, "Oh, somehow I knew how to do this." But yeah, so we're pretty much closing out Act 2 now. We're getting ready to go down the home stretch in Act 3. They gotta go back to Naboo, And unfortunately, everybody's been
No,
kind
they
of...
don't have to. She's choosing to, even though everybody's telling her it's dangerous.
She's going back to fight, yeah. Which I'm curious if this was part of Palpatine's plan or not, because he did look surprised when she said she was going back or whatever. Here, Ewan McGregor has his wig on for some reason. I never understood this. I never heard the real story, because, like, you can tell when it's Ewan McGregor's real hair and when it's, like, this wig. Because it's, like, completely different length of the hair. And also, too, when his hair is his real hair, his face is, like, way thinner. Whereas, like, I mean, he don't look chunky or anything, but he's more, like, filled out here. He always, in that scene with that wig on, he reminded me of, like, a young Russell Crowe. I don't know why, but I always like it when Jar Jar swims in and out of the lake. But, so what was your, because, I mean, you were obviously alive. You weren't a Star Wars fan, so, like, when this movie was building up and about to come out and all the hype, like, did you just ignore it or just not care at all? Or, like...
Pretty much. Like, it wasn't really, like, present to me, because... Like, I kind of always said it, like, this was kind of always, like, a boy thing to me, so, like...
I look at those little Gungans.
And, like, my mom never really watched any kind of, like, stuff like this, like...
Yeah.
And really, the only kind of stuff I watched was just whatever was on TV, or whatever my mom put on, you know, so... It was never really anything that was, like... the other Star Wars movies, like, they never really, like, existed in my universe until, like, I was older.
There's that baby hippo running across the floor again. Yeah, they meet all the Gungans and make the pact, or what's left of the Resistance fighters, to meet up with the Gungans.
This fight's cool. And Padme's like, move it or lose it.
Yeah. Yeah, they always tell him you so Bombad. And there was also another game, something Star Wars Bombad Racing. It was like a Mario Kart ripoff of Star Wars characters. I never really understood what the slang Bombad word mean. This is where she finally reveals herself.
His face, what?
What? Georgia's like, what? Everybody's so confused that she's the real queen. I know we talked about this other night, but, like, I could never tell if Qui-Gon knew or not. Like, they kind of look like, oh, that's amusing, him and Obi-Wan to each other, but I could never tell for sure.
I don't think he did. I don't think anybody did. I mean, when we watch, we can tell they are different, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they did in the movie.
Yeah. And Boss Nass, he's the leader of the Gungans, which he looks different to me than all the other Gungans. He looks more like a frog.
Yeah.
They look more like a platypus or something. But he totally gets a power trip over the fact that the Queen of Naboo is getting down on her knees and begging for his help. See, like, there is Ewan McGregor's real hair. Looked totally different. But, yeah, like, I was all, you know, obviously, like, the countdown of this movie, man, I couldn't wait. Like, we thought, like, the world was going to blow up. We thought people were going to, like, take fire axes and lock the door down to the theater, get in. Like, I remember me and my buddy drive. We didn't go see the movie, but the day it opened, we drove around to see if people were camped out of the theaters, and, like, they weren't. We're like, what's going on? Star Wars Day, whatever. But I remember, like, Taco Bell had, like, I don't know if it was a sweepstakes or a game or what, but they had, like, these little stickers you would get, and, like, it was like Monopoly at McDonald's, and you would get, like, a board and you try to fill in the thing. I guess to get prizes, I don't know. But I just remember I was just eating the shit out of Taco Bell to get those little pieces and get whatever. It was I don't know. It just, I remember when part 2 and 3 came out very vividly too, but at this one in particular, just the build up and the hype, and, like, I mean, I don't know, it's very hard to quantify whether, like, the movie lived up to the hype, but it wasn't really about that. It was just, to me, it was just the experience of Star Wars was back, and just all these toys have been flooding out everywhere, and video games. Just, like, that thing of, like, when you love something and you just want it to, like, because, like, you know, like, my youngest years were all growing up being into Star Wars, like, you know, really young. I mean, I was, like, 6 when Return of the Jedi came out, and then like I watched it die off in the years afterwards, and it was just sad that like Star Wars was gone, and you never thought it was going to come back, and then finally it did. So I don't know. Like I remember my dorm room or apartment, whatever you want to call it. Like like you always have those fairs at the beginning of the school year where they come to your college and sell you a bunch of posters and shit. I bought like a poster. It got all screwed up because it kept falling off the wall, but I bought a poster of basically the duel of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. So it was just like, I remember that fall too, after the movie had come and went out of theaters, and there were still more video games coming out, and just everybody was still about it. Like it's hard. It's like hard to imagine like when I went back to school that fall in September, that everybody was still like all hyped about a movie that came out in May. Like that never happens anymore. You know what I mean? Everything's like so
come and gone.
Yeah, and people love that. Like the fact that there's people arguing about streaming shows that they want it all to be the binge model still, and it's terrible to wait week to week. I'm just kind of like, if you love something, why do you want it to be over with so quick? It's just weird to me. They're getting ready. They're still trying to talk the Queen out of going and kicking ass at the Capitol.
I know she's getting tough.
Yeah. There are so many good Star Wars games, but I never had like the just regular Phantom Menace game for I think PlayStation 1, but I had the Star Wars Jedi Power Battles, which was kind of like a recreation of a lot of the scenes of this movie for Dreamcast. And then for Xbox, one of the launch titles was Star Wars Obi-Wan, which was an awesome game. I wish they would make backwards compatible. But you kind of weaved in and out of like original little missions, and then also you got to do a lot of stuff. Last half of the game, I think, was pretty much around this time of the movie where you got to invade the Capitol, and fight a bunch of droids and stuff. Man, look at that! Look at that Gungan army. Jar Jar wasn't kidding when he said we still got a grand army.
It's so funny because on that scene that just passed where like they're talking to Palpatine and he's like moving back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why is he moving like that? That was another thing I just barely noticed last time.
Mm-hmm.
That whatever he was like being his hologram was coming out of was on another walking thing.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, that's why. I was like, why is he moving side to side like that? It's a hologram. It's so weird. Look, the grass looks like it's really like blowing.
I know. Like this was so like, especially when you see it on film, it's like a lot more kind of like, I don't know. Well, it just looks different. Like if you look up the 35mm trailers of this movie on YouTube, you can see. I thought this was funny. They had laser pointers signaling each other. But like yeah, like once they start attacking and stuff. But like this is like way before Avatar, and like I think the Gungans like they're really like this was the original movie that had aliens like that were like kind of portrayed as native aliens, if you know what I mean.
Here we go, the massacre of the droids.
I know these poor droids. Couldn't they save some? Like, I know they say that they never built any, but like, there's a couple of the ones on the ground that were just laying there all messed up that they ran by. Like, they looked real. Oh, I love those.
Not this part.
When they're trying to take the hangar back so they could get their starfighters, the Naboo starfighters, up in the air to go take out the space stations.
His face is so funny.
Well, there's sparks flying all over Anakin. I thought it was funny that their pilots, like, the Naboo pilots dressed in, like, robes and stuff. Like, you would think being squished in a tiny cockpit, you wouldn't want to be wearing a bunch of long robes. R2 got sucked up into a starfighter. And Anakin. I've never noticed that, but they actually kind of look like a stunt double of the Queen right there. It didn't really look like Natalie Portman. But yeah, like, I kind of thought the Naboo starfighters were kind of...
One already died.
Yeah, he got shot.
Oh my god.
Because there's a tank down on the thing. But,
Star Wars.
yeah, I thought these kind of starfighters were kind of plain when this movie first came out. But, like, I don't know, like, the design's really grown over me on the years. I guess...
Style. It's like the style of the other ones.
Yeah.
Oh, the other flyer.
Yeah, it's kind of like a prototype of X-Wing a little bit. Baby Yoda's flying around in one now.
Like the one that Padme's been flying around in. The silver one.
The big silver one? Yeah. Well, I like the contrast of the, like how half of it is that yellow paint and the other half is like the chrome or whatever. Now here's the showstopper. This is what I really love. The droid transports, those big long like column looking ships, which you didn't really know why they're shaped like that. And then here it's like they pull out this like mechanism that starts unraveling like row after row of droids instantly. And I love the shots of them getting rolled out, and I love how like they drop them on the ground and then they all stand up together. Like, I know all the shots were in the trailer and stuff, but when you see it in the context of the movie, like, yeah, here, it's even cooler.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, look at all that.
It's like instantly, within like 2 minutes, they have like 100,000 troops on there. Like, that's what's cool about having a droid army.
Ouch.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Jar Jar's buddy that he's always talking to, the older Gungan. I don't remember if he has a name.
I don't get why they can just walk through it.
Because it's one of those things, it's a force field, but it's like laser fire can't move through it, but like slow moving things can. Like,
they're like so funny when they're swinging them around.
Yeah. So basically, like the weapons the Gungans have, like they don't have laser blasters. They have like kind of energy weapons, or it's basically different balls of different size that like when they hit stuff, it's basically like electromagnetic pulse that will release, and like that's how they're killing the droids. It's basically short circuiting them with balls of energy.
Stay in that cockpit.
Yeah, I'm surprised Qui-Gon tells them to stay in the cockpit.
Oh, no.
It's just like, yep.
Oh, everybody's like, oh shit.
Here's the trailer money shot. Darth Maul coming out.
Look, Qui-Gon will handle this.
Yeah, I love how Padme's like, we'll take the long way.
Power shot.
Yeah.
Bang.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, Duel of the Fates is playing now, obviously. But, like, this is so, like, I don't know how to describe it other than epic, but that's really what it is. And I can't believe, like, people who hate this movie so much or whatever, I can't believe they can't acknowledge, like, how great of a filmmaking style of a build-up this is.
They even build up him fucking taking out his double lightsaber.
I know.
Only one comes out and then the other one.
The world lost their mind when that was shown in the trailer, the double lightsaber.
We should just sit here and do the sound effects.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Anakin accidentally gets launched into space in his fighter because he was trying to use the guns to knock out the droid.
Was it the Force?
Yeah. Yeah, this like the first time I seen the movie, I didn't know what to make of this either too, because I'm just like,
yeah, blow those fuckers up.
I'm like, why is this all happening by accident? Like, but I like that eventually he does control the ship himself, and he actually can fly it himself. I like that.
I like that shot. That was cool.
Yeah, I like how you see the waterfall like on the edge of the city
It
here.
reminds me of like when you're on the roller coasters and you're like, whoa, you're going up.
Now, a lot of people say,
oh, that's cool.
For many years, a lot of people were obviously saying that this was,
oh my god, don't go over there.
that this was the best lightsaber duel in all of Star Wars, and I totally understand why people say that. But then later, people said this was actually a really bad lightsaber duel because it looked so choreographed, and people thought, no, I'm really not even being sarcastic here. People said the best lightsaber duel was at the end of Force Awakens when Rey and Kylo fight.
I'm gonna cut you off.
Because, why?
I don't care what you're saying. It just does.
They say lightsaber...
Because it's not valid.
Lightsaber fights should not look choreographed. That it should be rough and choppy and like nobody should know
the validity to anything anybody says comparing that to these.
But I think if you take into account the way that this is positioned, is that they can anticipate things and kind of see them a split second before they happen. I think that's why it looks so choreographed, because like not only are they great fighters where they can block each other's stuff just on a physical level, like, but they also kind of know what's going to happen next. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just the way Anakin knows how to fly the. See, like, this is the kind of thing that I was talking about. Like, he's being clumsy and like, you know, accidentally doing shit, but now he's like actually helping.
Yeah, he's actually making the droid stuck to his foot.
So it just kind of is like, I mostly just feel endearing with him because it's like, as much as he's like such a doofus, it's like he still like manages to like do some good somehow.
And
this is tense.
Yeah, this was another bone of contention because the behind-the-scenes documentary, you see Lucas in the screening room with like all the producers around him, and he's like, you really can't change anything out of this in sequence because it's all cut together, it's all happening simultaneously, and people are like, "Yep, that's where you went wrong, George." It's all because like people are saying like there's all these different tones going on here with like comedy and then super serious stuff with like Qui-Gon getting killed, and like he was kind of stuck in a way with that. But I think like overall, like you gotta understand, it's just like all this grand shit is going on.
You don't know what's gonna happen in any battle, like in any war, like ever. Like,
well, not only that, but I mean, you have to accept that this is a PG movie. This isn't even PG. This isn't the dark and gritty world of PG-13 modern film. This is a PG. This was meant to feel like an adventure film, an overall, you know.
Look at this badass chick.
Yeah, I love it. I love it when they rappel up with the grappling guns. It's so awesome. Like, I mean, obviously the most amazing thing going on right now is the lightsaber fight with Darth Maul. But then, like, I always love this stuff too. How they're taking the palace back.
Like, this is why she's my favorite, because she is fucking like kicking ass, taking names, whatever the fucking saying is. Like, she's like kicking ass. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I love that take charge attitude that she has. She's not just waiting around for a guy to come help her and save her.
I always like this, like, what do you call it, mechanical room, engine room. Because it's kind of similar to, like, the big interior of the Death Star, but it's so scary because, like, they're falling off such high off platforms and, like, barely saving themselves. And there's, like, those giant energy beams that they look like they could fall into at any time. I guess it's just like a giant power reactor here that powers the city is really what they're fighting in.
Oh my god.
This is where it gets scary when they get trapped in the little force field rooms.
I love this part.
But Qui-Gon's fighting style is so awesome. Like the way he's just going straight at him. Yeah, this is such a memorable moment when they get trapped in the little rooms. And Darth Maul's like pacing like an animal, and Qui-Gon just sits down and meditates for a second.
I love him so much.
That's what I mean. Like, say what you want. Like
this guy, he's like, I'm gonna kill you, fucker.
Like,
let me take a breath.
All these sequences, though, like the little moments like that, there's so much thought put into them that, like, I don't care what movie it is nowadays. Like, I don't think you really see this attention to detail anymore. It's so weird because it's like, I know this movie so well, but like every time I watch it, like I can't help but get wrapped up in it. And at the same time, like I remember so much of like my life of what it was like during this time. Like it's just one of the most vivid, like of all the movies that like in surrounding its release and everything, this is one of the ones like I have the most vivid memory of.
Doofus, but then when he does, actually helps them.
Yeah, he tries to jump on the back of the little truck thing, but he unleashes all the balls, which which like I don't get like why they didn't think to do this themselves, because it's like the little balls run down. I actually like the Gungans, like overall. Like I know Jar Jar's goofy, but he's really the only goofy one out of all of them. Like they're all pretty badass warriors.
Yeah, they're all normal.
I like this where he tells him I don't have a booma, and he gives him the thing, and he bumbles it and it just totally just hits the droid.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like even though he's so doofy, like he still manages to help somehow.
Like I don't really think these Jar Jar hijinks like really like take away from like the other sequences that are going on.
Yeah, because there's still a battle.
Yeah. Yeah, and like when they get taken, like prisoner or whatever.
That was fuckers.
Yeah. Pretty much once the droidicas show up, even if you're a Jedi, pretty much the party's over. Like there's nothing you can do against them.
Yeah. But he's still kicking ass.
Yeah. See, another thing that's cool too, like the droid fighters, which like you really don't get to see a lot until like this last sequence. But I thought it was cool, the idea too that the droid fighters, like it's a spaceship that's just a giant droid itself. You know what I mean? Just all the machine. I know I keep talking about it, but all the machinery of the droid army, I think, is like so cool. Because like you don't really need to, like in a war, like you need to recruit people or draft people, and like you don't really need to do that with droids. You just make them, and then you have an instant army ready to fight a war for you. It's such a cool idea.
Oh man.
Awesome. Ray Park is Darth Maul. The anticipation they build up here, I don't think they would ever have the patience to do now. But it's so awesome. And Obi-Wan's trying to get in there to help Darth Maul.
I hate this part. Oh, God, I'm already gonna start crying.
It's such a little moment, too, because like, Darth Maul kind of just, like, he ties him up for a second, like, with a saber. He fakes him out, and then he bops Qui-Gon in the face with like the handle of his thing, and then like that's
it's like Anakin knows it's coming. I mean, Luke, Obi-Wan knows it's coming.
Yeah, and then that's like the one. He's like, it's just one little mistake Qui-Gon made in the fight, and then Darth Maul totally impales him. Yeah. Oh, there's those little other droids. I guess they're just like maintenance droids, those little silver ones.
They eat you.
Yeah, like they pick up all the broken parts of the destroyed droids.
This part's fun. Make him up.
Yeah.
The guy's like, oh yeah.
They surrender. Jar Jar surrenders.
This part's cool. I like it.
Yeah. She totally fakes them out. They take the queen and all her soldiers hostage, and then she basically just like...
She's like, this is my palace. I know everything about it.
She's got all these guns hidden. There's a distraction with one of the...
And she's like, huh?
Yeah. Like, they basically fake them out with the imposter queen. So they're like, oh, this isn't the real queen. And then she just goes and grabs a bunch of guns. And they shoot all the droids, taking the Morgans hostage.
Yeah, kick ass.
Which is so cool in the Star Wars Battlefront 2 when you get to fight in these palaces. Like, it's so weird because, like, I feel like I've been to this, even though it's like a fake city. I feel like I've been to that place because I've played in the
he's steaming
game so much to the level.
Oh, look at him. He's jumping. Oh, look at his little hair flying around.
Yeah, I like Obi-Wan's little long braid.
Oh,
he's got like a ponytail, and then he's got like a little long braid coming off the back of his hair. Like, look at this fight scene, man. This is so cool.
Fucker. Oh, you're dead, fucker.
I actually like Darth Maul when he gets this thing chopped in half and he's just fighting with one half of the saber. I think that's even cooler looking.
Oh,
damn. I love his fighting style, Darth Maul, the way he flips around.
Piece of his cloth flying to the air.
Yeah.
Die, fucker.
Oh. Yeah, it's so hard to say because, like, I always love the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan and Darth.
You're doing what I did.
Yeah, Darth Vader and A New Hope when they're old men and stuff. Like, story-wise, that's my favorite fight. But this one, there's so many cool parts. Yeah, I like this where Anakin just starts blasting the droid ship from the inside.
Oh, dang. Oops.
But just story-wise, the Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Darth Maul one is so good. Like, I guess Luke versus Vader in Empire Strikes Back is the most visceral and scary sword fight of all of them.
Yeah.
But this one...
I think that one, though, is more... so much more emotion-ridden.
Yeah, it is. Because he thinks he's confronting the person who killed his father, but, you know... But even when they're just fighting, like, it's very scary because, like, they're out in those platforms in Cloud City and it's all dark and stuff. But this one is just, like, the coolest fight in terms of, like, all the different stuff that happens, and I love the part we're at now where Obi-Wan is hanging off the ledge. Dang, this boy is blown up. Damn. That's a good explosion right there. Michael Bay, eat your heart out. Yeah, so the command...
everybody's dead.
Yeah, all the droids die because they're basically on Wi-Fi. If you look at the back of that droid, the symbols look like 1138, which is the call sign of the stormtrooper that calls over the radio in the first Star Wars, and that's where they it's a nod to THX 1138. But this moment here where Obi-Wan is hanging from the ledge and he kind of force jumps up and then uses the force to pull Qui-Gon's saber into his hand, so awesome. When he flips over him.
Yeah, fucker.
I love that cloud of blood that goes in the air too. This is the coolest shot when Darth Maul falls, and then he falls, splits in two. So awesome.
Oh no.
Yeah. Qui-Gon's actually still alive. I mean, he's pretty much just dying real quick, but yeah, he took a saber through the body, and I guess because it burned his insides. He didn't bleed to death or anything, but he still
Oh, look, he touched
died.
his face. I hate this.
Well, he even tells him here, he tells Obi-Wan, he said, train him, he will bring balance, he is the one. So it's literally his dying wish, so there ain't no way Obi-Wan's gonna, not do it.
And it's just hard to watch, too, because it's Obi-Wan's pretty straight-faced the whole time, so it's to see him, sad and crying, it's so hard to watch.
And, because, they get taken, I guess, or whatever, accepted into the Jedi Order at such a young age that, they can't really have any emotional attachment to their parents, so really they're, the Jedi who train them, it really becomes their entire family. So really Qui-Gon was his whole family, I love this too, that the Royal Guard that Sheev Palpatine has here as the new Chancellor, they look their helmets look a lot like he tells him he'll watch Anakin's career with great interest. But I like how they mirrored the Imperial Guards from Return of the Jedi, who are red, but these ones are blue. But it's kind of a very similar style helmet. Mm-hmm.
I find it interesting that they also repeated an outfit, too.
Yeah.
She was wearing that when they went back to Naboo.
Like a little Yoda.
He's jamming.
I don't know. He's spry and young in this one. That's where they're talking about training Anakin. Yoda's still against it, but even though Yoda thinks he might be the chosen one, he's still afraid to train him. It's Qui-Gon's wish.
I will train Anakin.
But what nobody understood was
without the approval.
He really was the chosen one.
Qui-Gon's defiance, I sense in you. Yeah, because you raised him.
Yoda's wispy hair. I wonder if baby Yoda's ever going to get that wispy hair like that. He kind of has little hairs, but not that much. I love this scene too of Qui-Gon's Viking funeral. It's so awesome.
No, they repeat an outfit there too.
Yeah.
Never noticed that.
It's so crazy because
I still discovered new stuff in this one.
It looks like Liam Neeson's really laying in that fire there. But I remember when this came out and they have Qui-Gon's funeral and everybody's saying, well, that's not right because he's supposed to disappear when he dies, but the way Obi-Wan does. But it's kind of like a thing that that wasn't like a natural Jedi thing, that all Jedi just disappeared into thin air when they died. It's really the only ones that learned how to commune with the dead would then transfer like that. Just kind of doesn't get talked about a whole lot in Star Wars, but I think it's interesting. I love that line too, where Mace Windu and Yoda are talking about, they killed Darth Maul, and they're like, "Do we kill the Master or the Apprentice Sith?" And then it cuts to the shot of them watching the funeral, and then it cuts over to Palpatine in the corner. It's where you get to celebrate now. All the jets flying over, every waving their tassels and
controlling the giant
Gungans. And if anything, Naboo is kind of like more unified now than ever, because now the Gungans, instead of hiding down in the cities, they're out in the open.
I like little baby Obi-Wan. He's so cute.
Anakin got his haircut. He got a spiky haircut now.
With his little ponytail.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh no.
I was like, I couldn't tell if that was Warwick Davis again or not, but I always wondered if that guy was a Yoda. Like, he's like a little guy, but he's like human, but then he's like a human. He's actual person, not CGI. He's a human with makeup on, but he's got like Yoda ears. That always confused me. I was like, is that supposed to be a Yoda race person?
But they were like more face down.
Yeah. It was weird. Yahoo! Everybody's celebrating.
Yay.
I love it when Star Wars movies can end on a big celebration. The R2's beeping. Oh, Boss Nass gets the giant trophy in this one and this one. So that's it for the Phantom Menace. I'm glad. There was I don't know, I hated it. When Force Awakens came out, the media came out to shit all over the prequels one last time, to say, hey, get ready, get your popcorn ready, these new ones are going to be so great. But I'm happy in the last, I don't know what it is, several years, since all this like kind of new Star Wars material has come out, it made people go back and look at the old stuff and kind of be less harsh for various reasons.
Maybe it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, maybe it didn't ruin our lives the way we said it did. But it's like, I always loved this movie. I think I was at the perfect age. Like, there was some stuff when I first saw this movie, I was a little too old. I was like, this is a little corny, that's a little corny. But, like, from the get-go, I always really, really enjoyed this movie. And, like, now I just love it because really nothing like it gets made now with the sort of kind of, I don't know, innocence and PG adventure sense of it. Like, they're just, I don't know, they just don't make movies like that anymore. So it's like, I mean, I genuinely love this movie now more than ever. And it's like, no movie's perfect. But for this movie being what it is, and I can never let go of my experience as a Star Wars fan. And, like, I got to experience Star Wars as a young adult. And, like, I know for a lot of people that experience wasn't really, like, good. Like, they went through then what I'm going through now with current fake Disney Star Wars. But, like, I don't know. Like, I just appreciate this movie now more than ever. And I mean, is it one of your favorite ones? Because I know you like the prequel era of the timeline better, but you're more an Anakin fan than you are a Luke Skywalker fan.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's 3-2-1 for me. Like, I really like this one. Jabba the Hutt as himself.
Oh, wow. Also, Sofia Coppola was one of the fake Padmes, too. I totally forgot about it. I knew somebody else was, yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I really like this one, but I like Anakin when he's older, so...
You like when it's Hayden Christensen?
I like the whole, like, especially, like, the second one is all about the love story, and, like,
yeah.
I know that, like, people get annoyed with him as that, because he's kind of like this bratty little, like, teenager-type whiny baby in that one, but, like, I'm a sucker for a love story, so I like that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I really love this one, too. I mean, it is now officially recorded on tape, me crying throughout this movie, so I mean...
Well, we hope. No, there's a very distinct possibility no one will hear this show. Because last time we recorded on this recorder, the memory card broke and nobody got to hear it.
So maybe it's not documented.
This is a brand new memory card. It's supposed to be, I forget what it said, high endurance, whatever that means. Hopefully it's high endurance enough to make it through the Phantom Menace. We don't know yet. But
yeah, but like, yeah, I'd say it's number 3 for me. I think of the first 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like honestly like one of the most unique Star Wars movies because you get a lot of things that you don't really get in the other ones. First of all, you get like young Obi-Wan. Mm-hmm. Like I know he's not old in the other ones, but he's supposed to be like he's not a full Jedi in this one really. Mm-hmm. You get young Anakin, which you don't get. You get Qui-Gon, which is in no other one. You get Darth Maul, which is in no other one. Mm-hmm. And like you pretty much, this is the only one that you really get Jar Jar in. So it's like,
well, like, and also like I said earlier, like this is the one where like my favorite characters are, like
yeah,
I love Amidala and I love Qui-Gon. So and then just, I mean, I know not the way the movies were released, but it's like the introduction of R2 as well, and he's my favorite, droid character. So
and honestly, yeah,
it's like everybody I love gets introduced in this one.
They do, and this is the only one where Padme is like the queen because she's just like the like they switch queen. They never really explain it, but like they switch queens every few years. So like, when they go back in the sequel ones, she's just like part of the Senate or whatever, and there's like a new queen down on Naboo. Right. So this is really the only one that you straight up get Naboo in. Like
that's why I clarified. Like I love Amidala. Like as I think I love her character. Like I love her as the queen character.
Yeah.
I love Padme too. Like
yeah.
But to me, like this one is not a Padme movie. It's a Queen Amidala movie.
Yeah, Queen Amidala movie. Yeah.
But I do like her and. She gets even more badass in episode 2, so...
Let's try it.
As Padme.
Yeah. Trying to figure out in my head if Baby Yoda was born yet at this point. So he's 50 years old in The Mandalorian, which takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So he was 25 when Return of the Jedi happened. And there's 20 years in between episodes 3 and 4, but the thing is we don't know how many years are in between 4, 5, and 6, so... that's hard. That's too hard to say, because we don't know exact... Because that's another thing, too. And, these prequels, you can tell it, because you watch the characters grow up. Like, when we go to episode 2, they say it's 10 years later, and Anakin is not a little boy anymore.
Yeah.
But there are supposed to be years apart in episodes 4, 5, and 6. They just don't really specify it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's one thing I never knew as a kid. I never knew that it was like really every movie was supposed to be years apart.
Yeah.
I know it's out there somewhere in a book probably, but I personally can't say whether Baby Yoda was born yet or not. But he was probably being born around this time though. Maybe he was born. Wouldn't it be interesting? Baby Yoda was born to bring balance back again, to balance out Anakin.
And he was the one?
Yeah, maybe when Anakin turned bad, maybe Baby Yoda was born to balance him out.
Maybe.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
But that's all just speculation. So yeah, Phantom Menace, I mean, I don't even know what else to say other than I love it. And
I do. I mean, you and I have had this discussion before, and you know my opinion about it, but did George Lucas ever use the word prequel to describe 1 through 3?
I don't know. I mean...
Because, like I said, we've talked about this before, and I may have brought it up on another one of your shows at some point, or maybe on ours.
I thought he did.
Like, that word has always bugged me, how everybody calls those episodes that, because I'm just kind of like, and I think you had also said, too, that he wasn't the one that came up with calling them episodes.
No, he did, because he was the one that attached afterwards episode 4.
Because it doesn't make sense to say episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 but then refer to any of them as a prequel or whatever you would call the second half. That's the opposite of prequel. If you're calling them all episodes of one big story.
Yeah.
So, like, I just always wonder that, because that word is used so much to describe those three, and I'm just kind of like, did he even ever call them that? Like,
I mean, I don't know, but either way...
It doesn't make sense to call them prequels.
I mean, it does... Well, think about it. Think about it, though. Like, how ballsy is it that, like, you know, because, like, originally, like, he had, like, what he thought was going to be roughly 9 parts. He had all these, you know, different whatever, you know, eras, or he did different plot points and everything. And it's like, how ballsy is it that, like, even just after the first one, like, A New Hope was a hit, he was like, saying, like, all, like, you know, because once they did Empire Strikes Back, you know, then they went back and they changed the credits of the first movie to say Episode 4. That's, like, ballsy to say, like, oh, by the way, like, now...
So he did that when only 4 had been released and 5 had just come out?
Like, originally in the theater, Episode 4 didn't say that Episode 4. It just was I can't even remember if it said A New Hope or if that was added to later. Yeah. But no, it was just Star Wars. Star Wars was just Star Wars. Yeah. But when it was a hit and they're like, okay, we're going to do the sequel, they're like, it's Episode 5, The Empire Strikes. So, like, because they were constantly, because there was no home video back then yet, they were just re-releasing it, like... And I should say, too, like, we were surrounded by Star Wars in this room. Like, we have the poster over there framed of the 1-year anniversary of, like, when it was playing in theaters.
May the Force be with you. 1-year-old today.
Yeah, 1-year-old today. Where it has the birthday cake and all the little figures around it. Mm-hmm. But, like, yeah, he would, like, you know, because they were constantly re-releasing them. And so when they did the re-release again... And I don't know exactly which re-release it was, because they just kept doing it. Like, because you got to imagine, like, it was 3 years in between each film. So it was like, at some point, he was just like, on the release prints, like, change it to make it say Episode 4, New Hope, you know? So it's like, yeah, like, how ballsy is it to be like, oh, we made Star Wars... And now we're going to make Star Wars 2. But Star Wars 2 isn't Star Wars 2. It's Star really Wars 5. Like, that's ballsy. And, like, I remember, like, us as kids, like, when we would see that. And, like, you know, starting with, like, Empire or whatever. Like, you know, by the time they all had video, they all had those on there, you know. And I remember us being, like, we just thought it was, like... We never thought he would make 1 through 3. We thought it was like a thing of like, yeah, there was supposed to be like we thought it was just basically a marker to let you know that you were jumping in halfway through the story. Yeah. But there was it's hard to like talk about, because I guess you could like look up old articles and magazines and shit, but nobody knew. Like, nobody really thought he was going to do Episode 1 through 3 at any point. And then when he announced that he was going to do it, like, there was a lot of people that were so weirded out, and, like, they could never in their mind be like, okay, like, what part is that supposed to be again? Like, the new ones, you know? And I'm like, it's Episode 1. Because it's like, I guess it's confusing if you don't have it burned in your brain that 4 through 6 are 4 through 6. Then you're probably confused. Yeah. But it's not like he jumped around in time. He just did 4 through 6, and then he did 1 through 3. Yeah. But it's just, like, it's so crazy, like, yeah, like... Because I think for the longest time, and I have to say, like, I wish he would have done the opposite. Well, first of all, I wish George Lucas would never stop making Star Wars, but, like, I wish he would have, instead of doing 1 through 3 when he did them, I wish he would have done 7 through 9 and then went back and done 1 through 3. Because, I mean, I don't know, they're like, yeah, we need to wrap it up. This is a long episode anyway, because we went on so... early on. We went on so long at the beginning talking about how bad this janky fake 4K
but this
looked.
Is the first one of an annual tradition you're starting.
Yeah, so I guess that's the real announcement to wrap up with. Is like, in order to celebrate, because they haven't, you know, in May the 4th, that's not a Star Wars anniversary. That's like a gimmick holiday to sell merchandise. Yeah, that's like March 10th, Mario Day, Mar 10 Day. it's like, but yeah, like, you know, we don't want to drown you in Star Wars content the way we did our other old podcasts, but like, yeah, like, we can make this a once a year thing. Star Wars is Star Wars. It's not going anywhere.
Well, didn't you say, like, this is your first Star Wars episode of the show?
Of this show, yeah.
I can't believe you have never done one before.
Well, I always avoided it because it's like, I always talked about Star Wars on other shows. Like Movie Wars, we did a whole Star Wars breakdown. We talk about Star Wars a lot on this show, just like on our, like topic shows. It always comes up, like, what do you think about this? Or we're going on with Star Wars or that. So, I mean, we definitely talk a lot of Star Wars in the show, but this is the first Star Wars movie, so yeah. You know, and, like, obviously we could have done episode 4 tonight, you know, because it is the 45th anniversary, but I'm like, let's make this an annual thing and start from the beginning, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And
you're going to do all of them. You're not just doing the 6 episodes, right?
What do you mean?
Or are you also doing the one-offs?
Oh, yeah, like Solo and Rogue One. Yeah, I'll do those. And
so we're doing all of them in chronological order.
Yeah, so we'll... And keep in mind, that's assuming this podcast is going to be around for 8 more years or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, we'll do them in chronological order, and that might be a little fun, too. Yeah. But, and obviously, us in real life, we'll probably rewatch them before we... Yeah. You know, like we like to do a marathon every now and then.
We always watch Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. But
and we have no problem with it.
And you'll get those Blu-rays from our cold dead hands. We'll never switch over to this streaming garbage for our...
Next year we'll watch the disc.
I don't even want to cry about it because I know it'll never happen, but you know how awesome it would be to watch The Mandalorian in 4K Blu-ray? Oh my god, that would be awesome.
I don't know, as long as they do it right.
Well, I mean, they would, because that show's like creative modern. They don't have to gimmick it the way they did these old ones. But yeah, so we hope you guys are enjoying the anniversary. We hope the anniversary means something to you. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're listening to this, you're a Star Wars fan. If you're not listening to it...
Who cares? Because you're not hearing it.
Well, yeah, you're not hearing it. So, I mean, if you're not a fan, you're not going to hear it. Every now and then, like, I hear, like, podcasts talk about, like, they did a Star Wars episode and they got new listeners. So, in case you just off chance happen to be a new listener, even though the show's been around for 6 years, it just comes up in your search or whatever. Like, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed listening to us. I hope you go and listen to some of our other episodes. But even if you're only here for a one-time Star Wars fan, like, you know, whatever flyby, thank you. We appreciate you. We appreciate Star Wars fans because we are Star Wars fans. And, like...
All you're going to get is the love and passion from us when it comes to the OG George Lucas.
Episodes 1 through 6 at least. Yeah.
You'll get a little bit, too, from the one-offs. Those aren't too bad. But, because those are more kind of in the vein of the George Lucas's stuff. But, yep, it's all day, all night. We'll watch episodes 1 through 6.
1 through 6.
I love every second
the classics. Too many memories, too much high emotion to ever let those go. No matter how spoiled and rotten the sour milk is, it will never ruin the original. So
yeah, and I just don't even connect those. That's a whole different entity. So to me, it's all about 1 through 6. So.
When they're made by different people, it's hard to kind of But anyway, we appreciate that. Happy Star Wars Day.
Ooh. How did he do in the end? Yahoo!
Yeah. But yeah. It was a super bomb bad evening for sure.
No, because that means it was bad.
I don't think that's what super bomb bad. I think super bomb bad just means hectic, but I don't know. But yeah, so anyway, thanks a lot, guys. And hopefully we'll see you back again here soon in the movie graveyard.
You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah. For more great shows, visit electronicmediacollective.com.